Not in the least. What effect does education have in terms of, as Lonnie was referring to, encouraging young people to get involved into politics? Fred, you're talking about the teacher not influencing that decision in terms of their own personal beliefs. Given that, what do we do in education to encourage people to step out, and not just in politics, just to step out to be civil leaders, to be leaders of a community? How do we? What role does education play in that, or is that the role of the family, as was referred to in the last hour?
I think the family has a stronger influence, and influence more like guidance, I think, because a lot of students don't even think about filling out scholarships until February, March of their senior year, let alone getting involved in politics. And we have student council and leadership conferences. We just had a leadership type of training for kids at the high school. And that helps out right now for what they're going through. But as for the long run, I don't think that really helps open them up to running for a political office someday in the future. I think their traditions with their family and how much their family is interested in politics and how passionate they are there, carrying that over into their 20s and early 30s, I think that's where that really takes place, their decision to get more involved like that in their community. And we certainly do have a lot of community service options at the high school as well. I'm the advisor for Key Club, which works with Kiwanis, and we try to get kids out to work on the same projects as the adults, for instance. But once again, I think there's very short-term thinking for the most part. It isn't until the spring they start thinking about 4 years of college, and that's pretty much the end of their train of thought, so to speak.
I think with young people, the new paradigm, if you will, I don't think you can separate technology from political activism, especially with this generation, because one of the things that got President Obama elected was his going viral, his website. Many new voters, and I think that's the new paradigm. I think and because kids are so tech savvy and so good at that, and that's where they tend to spend. Ask a lot of students what they do when they get home. Go on YouTube, look at videos. So if you can somehow, if you will, have political, technological education, that would probably be the fastest way to get kids involved, because that's what they're into. And it has, been proven in the last election that there is some success with that combination.
Let's talk about money. The current administration in Pennsylvania has made significant cuts to the budget, specifically in the area of education. And whether you're a supporter of that administration or not, it appears that there are probably some more budget cuts coming. How does that affect not only our local schools in Crawford, Venango counties, how does that affect education across the state?
Let's let the fellows have a second to think about that, because we need to take another break.
Absolutely.
And give you a break, huh, Fred?
Yeah.
You had a chance to think that through. Welcome back, and that's a good question. We'll get that question answered as we continue on here on the 2012 election coverage here on the stream at TitusvillePALive.com, also on Cool 101.7 WMVL, and we encourage you all to stay with us as we come back and continue on our discussion here this election night. Also, you've got a few more minutes. Get out and vote. It's 7:20, so get her done. We'll be right back.
Donovan and Bauer Auto Group is your GM home for Chevy, Buick, and GMC vehicles. Our lot is filled with new and pre-owned vehicles, and if we don't have it, we'll find it. Our staff will help you through the entire process, and we're here after the sale with our service department and collision center. Visit us online at www.donovanbauer.com to find your next vehicle, or stop in and talk to the pros at Donovan and Bauer Auto Group on the Hightown Road in Titusville.
Colonial Machine Company in Pleasantville is a proud supporter of the Titusville Rockets. The Colonial Machine Company takes pride in their products, working hard to manufacture and supply a quality product that's priced right and made right here in the USA. The Colonial Machine Company would like to wish the Rocket athletes best of luck on and off the field and remind you that you are a product of your school and the community. So continue to work hard, play hard, and maintain the quality of excellence that Rocket fans have come to expect. Go Rockets from the Colonial Machine Company in Pleasantville.
Country Acres Personal Care Home provides their residents with the care that they have come to deserve. The caring staff attends to the needs of its residents, and the home provides spacious rooms and bathrooms. And now Country Acres offers adult day care for those loved ones that need a little care during the day, while also providing respite care. For more information on Country Acres Personal Care Home, please call 827-3708 or visit them just past the airport on Route 27. Country Acres Personal Care Home. Wishing Alyssa, Titusville, and Maplewood the best of luck this sports season.
Your inner ear helps center you and gives your body a sense of balance. If you're feeling like the world is spinning or having trouble with dizziness and disorientation, it could be a balance disorder caused by a problem in the inner ear. A simple test done at Ear, Nose, and Throat Associates of Northwestern Pennsylvania can determine what is causing these symptoms, so you can soon feel right again. The Hearing Care Center, only at the office of Dr. Mark Maslov at Ear, Nose, and Throat Associates of Northwestern Pennsylvania. 4 locations, 3 specialties, 1 doctor.
H&R Block of Titusville has been serving the Titusville and surrounding communities for over 30 years. Our tax professionals receive hours of training and continuing education credits on tax laws annually. With over 97 years of combined tax experience, our tax professionals prepare individual, small business, farms, rentals, and investment returns. H&R Block also offers payroll services for small businesses. H&R Block, located at 109 Diamond Street with plenty of parking and handicap accessibility. Contact your hometown tax pros today at 814-827-1371. Morrison Builder Supply in Titusville carries just about everything you need for your next home fix-it project or for contractors working on any size project. Whether it's electrical, lumber, plumbing, or paint, Morrison's has supplies to allow you to complete your project and get the job done. Attention outdoorsmen, Morrison's too has the best selection of guns, ammo, clothing, and other accessories in stock, and take advantage of great deals on muck boots. Morrison's and Morrison's 2 on West Central Avenue, Titusville.
Back to the 2012 election coverage here from the stream at TitusvillePALive.com. Also Cool 101.7, excuse me. And we'll be checking back in over there. We should be getting some numbers in here pretty soon. The polls will close here at 8 o'clock, and we'll get some tallies as to what's going on in our election. This is election day, and there are votes being cast, and we will run those numbers to you. But of course, we can't do that until the polls close, and that's coming up here in about 35 minutes. So if you haven't voted, you still have time. You can get out there and do it. I interrupted a question, Tim, you had going on terms of budget. I'll let you bring that back up, and we'll get some opinions on that.
Just to rephrase, the current administration in Pennsylvania made some significant budget cuts, and whether you are in support of that administration or not, how do those budget cuts to education affect not only this area, but education across Pennsylvania?
Well, from the news headlines last year, it resulted in a lot of furloughs throughout the state in the thousands, and even this year, it's caused a lot of problems. Titusville was only had a deficit, I think, of about $100,000 or so, and they'll be able to close that gap with a number of cost-saving measures. But Erie, for instance, was short $10 million, and Warren is $5 million. I think Warren is going to end up furloughing at least 50 teachers or so. And there's also fights over closing schools, and a lot of local communities don't want to lose the building, their elementary building in particular. And so some parents are willing to put together a charter school. And when that happens, it also takes more resources away from that local school district. I think the biggest issue, though, is the disparity between those that lose and those that don't. The rural school districts sometimes get 60, 70% of their funding from the state because they don't have the property tax revenue to sustain their own budget. But meantime, there are more prosperous school districts that don't really need any money at all from the state. Back where I grew up, Indiana School District, they have a lot of real estate. They probably have more real estate on Oakland Avenue than all of Titusville School District. And Homer City School District is also down there. They have one of the largest coal-burning power plants east of the Mississippi. And so their starting salary is very high. Their budget is very lucrative. And then you have neighboring school districts where you have 60, 70% free and reduced lunches and most of the money comes from the state because they don't have the property taxes to justify that. So when the state cuts back, it really hurts those rural, more isolated school districts a lot more.
Jeff, any thoughts on the budget?
Fred said about every word that I could think of, and some. No, he covers it very comprehensively. It will be interesting if more receipts will be garnished from other incomes from the state. I know the governor doesn't seem likely, at least at this point, to tax Marcellus Shale or do much with it, but that may change as it gets closer to re-election time.
As a parent with a child in the public school system, I have a fear when the budgets start to get cut, especially towards education. How's that going to affect my child?
Right.
You know, is the classroom size going to be larger? Is my child going to get as much attention as I would like them to? How's that going to affect what they get out of education when they graduate? So, again, I grew up in a household where my mother was a teacher, big proponent of education, and would like to see the state figure out a way to at least hold the line on cuts to education as opposed to making more cuts.
I think the first part of that, what should parents be concerned about? One is teacher versus student ratio. Is it going to be 25 or 30 kids in a classroom? And that's more of a concern at the elementary level. High school, it's not as much of a problem, but when they're younger like that, you want fewer students in the classroom in particular, where you can start to develop their reading and math skills and such. Another concern would be extra classes or special classes that are called art, music. Those are usually popular programs for the cutting block in some school districts in particular. I know some districts in the region have introduced pay for play, where if you want to be an athlete, you have to pay $40, $50, $100 for a season in order to play, which certainly is going to discourage some low-income families from having their kids participate in sports, which might be the only thing that keeps them in school in the first place. And not only that, but also local schools closing, especially with younger kids. How long is their bus ride going to be if they end up closing 2 or 3 elementary buildings and they have to travel for an hour on the bus? I mean, that's probably another concern for parents as well.
Carson, I was a kid. I used to walk 5
uphill
each way. Uphill each way.
Uphill both ways. What is the? And I don't know if you fellows have been in the discussions with the union and so on, teachers union. I'm speaking of over the state. What is the breaking points in terms of student ratio? Student-teacher ratio. Is there a number that negotiators try to stay with? I was listening to Lon brought it up in the first hour about Meadville. I know they're closing, what was it, the East End School, and one of the board members mentioned when she started on the board, and I don't know what year that was, there was 5,200 and some kids. Now they're down to 3,400 and some kids. What are you supposed to do? I hear the same story here in Titusville. I don't know what those numbers are, but is there a point where you find in education the negative impact on student-teacher ratio? You mentioned more in elementary. I didn't know whether there was a number that you kind of is a ballpark number or.
I think it depends on what type of situation you're dealing with. Right. There's a difference in what type of classes you teach. It depends upon the kids and what skill level they are. If they're lower skill level, you obviously want less kids. I'm not sure legally about the number, but I think special education requires less students per classroom.
Used to be 10.
Yeah, right. So it depends on the age group, the curriculum, and what level the students are on too, their academic skills.
There's probably no.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say there's probably no magic number.
Exactly.
Based on that. I just thought of the line though. Remember the great movie Mr. Holland's Opus?
No.
Well,
very good movie.
Thank you. We have one very good and one no.
Ours sticking old ways to remember. The Sound of Music doesn't remember.
Richard Dreyfuss, a frustrated composer who became a music teacher and stayed a music teacher, and he was, wringing his hands about budget cuts, and he said the problem with emphasizing reading and writing and getting rid of music and all the arts is if you do that, then pretty soon you're not going to have anything to read or write about. So it is all connected. We do know studies. My son's very good in math, and he started piano at 5 years old, and there's numerous studies about the connection between early music and math skills. So you don't, if anything, I'd like to see music more at an early age. We know what the studies say, so let's not chop where we actually have proven results.
Yeah. I know those stats. Having taught music, I've read them, and it is one which I would definitely be in agreement with. We started cutting those kinds of programming out of our education, including phys ed, and I even think like programs, I don't know what you call it anymore, it used to be home ec, I don't know what you call it today, living skills or something. I think it's some fancy term for it, I'm sure. It all comes down to the same thing. There are certain things that are necessary to be taught that enhance everything else that's being done within the system. Mike, the other question I would have for you is, while we're talking, and I might mention if Joe's listening, Joe or Tom over in Meadville, that they might be able to fill us in on what the attitude is in the Meadville area concerning that East Mead School closing. But I lost my train of thought. How much, if you were to set up the ideal curriculum, what things are we offering that are costing us dollars can we take out of the curriculum and get back to? I'm an old-fashioned man, reading, writing, arithmetic, and slap on the wrist, and let's get it done. Are we enhancing our curriculum in such a way that are we wasting dollars with some of the stuff that we're putting into our curriculums, both not only on the high school level or the pre-high school level, elementary level, but even in the collegiate level? That's causing our costs to go so high, et cetera. Can it be scaled down at all? And you guys are involved in it. I'm out of it, so.
Well, I don't think either of us want to get in trouble at work tomorrow. But
No, well, I'm a little hesitant asking the question because of that.
I think if you attend the school,
Karen doesn't listen to this, so we'll be okay.
If you attend a school board meeting, they comb over the finances on a monthly basis and ask about individual checks and bills. And there's all kinds of rumors amongst the public and even teachers sometimes. There's this hidden treasure chest of money, but I don't think that's the case. It's very transparent. They have to have balanced budgets. I mean, I don't think there is waste per se in some large quantities or anything like that. And I know there's a lot of talk on the national level about eliminating some things like school breakfasts and things like that. And we don't have to give meals and we don't have to provide bus transportation and things like that. But that harms, once again, isolated rural areas. If you get rid of busing, how are people who live 30, 45 minutes away supposed to get their kids to school every day necessarily? And also with food, there's a lot of people that believe that once school breakfasts were started, that has encouraged people to stop feeding their kids in the morning. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think they fed their kids to begin with. And that's why school breakfasts was created. And I think if you just got rid of them, there'd be a lot of kids hungry. I mean, if you talk to Love Inc., for instance, which does a lot of good work in town here, they provide backpacks and foods and things like that. And even talk to the Y, for instance, they provide a lot of good services because some families don't have the means or don't provide. And so there are some things that you could cut, but I think they're very essential, especially to
Well, I guess I was looking more at on an academic level. I mean, do we need
specific classes?
Well, I'm talking things like sociology. And I'm not opposed to these courses, but at what age level do we introduce those? And are they necessary? Do we offer that? I'm assuming we offer some of those types of things. Sociology, psychology, those kinds of courses that we took in college. We stayed with literature, English, 4 years of that, and it was tough for me especially. Your math courses are up through physics and so on and so forth. We've enhanced so many things, and I know the times have changed. The science has advanced and all that stuff. But are there things that are in our curriculum in that realm that are costing us dollars that don't need to be at that realm, can come to the next level? I don't know. I guess
the opposite side of that is, how many of those types of classes are things that are mandated by the state, that the state is saying you have to offer certain types of classes that end up costing you some of that money?
Yeah. And then the programs, and then these are all hypotheticals, and I don't expect you guys to answer this. And Mitra, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you. Actually,
is there a course you'd like to cut, Mitra?
No, actually, I love Tom Corbett, and I just had to say that. Actually, I don't. again believe that Luke put me in this panel with a teacher on each side of me.
Well, we needed a rose between two thorns. I told you that when we started this.
I needed some balance.
I think it's a thorn between two roses.
Yeah.
Well, since we're talking about education, iMat or iVote,
Right.
Yes.
did they have any specific initiatives aimed at young voters?
It's just informing it. I'm at our vote, just educating the voters, informing the voters of who's the candidates that are out there, what they're going to do for Luke messed me up with the sign language, sorry.
Don't be
I know,
afraid of the
what was I
microphone.
saying? It's to inform the voters, to educate them on their candidates. So when they go in, they're voting not because they're in the first slot or the second slot or their name sounds good like a horse race or something, but because they know what they're voting for, what they stand for. And I think that, as far as going towards the younger voters, I'm really not specifically going towards the younger voters as much as I just want to inform all voters on both sides.
Now, I'm familiar with iMat or iVote because, we've been on this panel before.
Right.
But what is iMat or iVote doing to get the word out?
Well, it's just the computer, of course, the website and the Facebook page. And I do a lot of the community events. I did the Oil Heritage Days here. I went and had a week at the Crawford County Fair. And I did some things in Meadville. I set up a booth. Really, it's just kind of so new. And my goal isn't to register voters. It isn't to go out and say, I'm going to register 20 voters today. I would rather say I educated 2 voters. Rather than to say I've registered 20 voters. The quantity of people that go out and vote to me mean really nothing. Is if they're not informed, if they're not educated, then they're not really doing what our country needs them to do, which is to make the right choices. So,
Well, what is the website and what kind of things are people going to find when they go there?
the website is imatterinvote.com, and you'll find right now there's the Crawford County ballots on there, the Venango County ballots up on there, and there's congressional maps on there. There's a voting video, so if you're not familiar with the voting machines, there's a video you can watch on there. Has the rules and everything you would need to know. If there's something on there, if there's something that isn't on there, and you can always contact me, and I can get it on there. Today I threw Luke's advertisement up there for the stream with the link, so it's really just out there. It's a tool. And
We got, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
aliens
No, go ahead. And, Joe's calling in from Cool 101, and that's what that noise was, so
okay.
interrupted. Joe, you there? Joe Vilke.
Yes, I am. Guys, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Well, I'm good, thanks. Tom and I are in downtown Meadville here. We're actually just been visiting with some of the people from the Republican headquarters, if I could spit it out here. And we know that, voting time kind of winding down. And Tom and I have just been visiting with some of the folks here and hoping for a good turnout here. Now, of course, we're going to be live here from headquarters here in town. And, of course, we're also going to be visiting with the people at the Democratic headquarters, if we can, and also at the Crawford County Courthouse. That coming up here in just a little bit. So we're hoping to get some numbers as they start to roll in. And basically right now, not a lot to report. We just wanted to check in with you guys. We've been listening to you a little bit and learning a lot. Right, Tom?
Absolutely, learning a whole lot of things. So it's,
We are.
It's all good, absolutely. So, and you just have a little more time yet before 8 o'clock, so be sure to get out there and vote. You still have just, let's say, about 20 more minutes to get out there, so the time is winding down, but there is still an opportunity. The weather's great, so you can't really have any excuses. Just get out there and place your votes before 8 o'clock.
Yeah, definitely so. And we were talking about the weather, Tom, earlier, that if we'd have been doing this yesterday, I can just imagine what it would do to voter turnout. So luckily, I mean, we're standing outside in light jackets here right now in the middle, not quite in the middle of Chestnut Street, but darn close to it. We're out of the way of the cars as far as we can tell. But nonetheless, we'll be here, again, visiting with folks from the Republican Committee here in downtown Meadville. Hopefully we'll talk to some of the Democrats as well, and then soon we're going to be heading out to the Crawford County Courthouse and get some numbers too. So we'll check back in with you guys in a little bit here because you guys got a good conversation going. We don't want to interrupt it, right?
No, we like to have you interrupt us. These guys are giving me a bad time, Joe. I don't know. Hey, can I ask you a quick question before you leave?
Yeah, go right ahead.
We were talking education here, and we got talking about the district over there in the board meeting the other night. Has that had any impact on in the discussions and so on going on today on elections in terms of closing down the elementary, et cetera?
We haven't had a chance to talk to anybody about that, but we're going to ask around a little bit and see how that has come down. It's going to be very interesting to see how the fallout from all of that is, but we haven't got a whole lot of response yet. To be honest with you, we haven't talked to a whole lot of people yet, so I think when we visit the courthouse, we may see a few more people. We're going to ask around and see how that kind of plays into things.
Yeah, okay. We're just discussing it over here, so if you get a chance, let us know what the feeling seems to be over that way.
Yeah, we will. We will. Well, you guys go ahead there. We'll talk to you again in a little bit. Thanks for being a part of our broadcast at Cool 101.7. We're glad to have you guys along, and we'll talk to you again in a little bit. We get some more information. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thanks. Joe Vilke, Tom Lavery of 101.7, and we appreciate them coming in. I'm anxious to see numbers, not so much, I want to see who's winning, see whether I made the right decision today. If your one vote matters or counts. Yeah, I matter, I vote. I matter, you vote. But I also want, in terms of turnout, I just, that always interests me in terms of the turnout, because the interest, it's the great thing we have in our nation as a citizen. We can change things, but you got to get off your and get out there and do it. And voting is the way you change it in the republic. And we need to be out there making this vote count. So yes, go ahead. I agree with that. I think it is our responsibility to vote, and I agree with you. If you don't vote, don't complain. Yeah, keep your mouth shut. However, having said that, one of my favorite columnists, George Will, once wrote, "In America, regardless of either party, unless you have two people with radically different views, a lower voter turnout may simply be people saying, okay, I'm sanguine, I'm happy with either person, and if they are, that's not much incentive to vote." Yeah. Had to throw that out. Had to throw that out. I like George Will. The greatest conservative, George Will. I still say go vote. And, I do too. But yes, I agree. Vote early, vote often. Tim, we interrupted there with Joe. And,
I had a comment just the other day at the senior center. Somebody said to me, I don't even know who's running in the primary. They had opened up the Titusville Herald several days before the election, and they said, where's the list? Who's running for what? And I think sometimes we as voters get a little bit lazy, and we expect that the media is going to hand us that list of who we're voting for, instead of us taking on that initiative to find out who it is that's running and what they stand for. We're talking education. It's the same thing. If it has any value to you, you can put a little effort into it. Right. And, I go out to the nursing homes. I try to get with the people in the nursing homes and work with them and inform them and talk to them about what's going on. And I do it in a nonpartisan way. There was one time I remember, I was telling this story today, when I was driving over to the courthouse to take some absentee ballots over for some people, and I called someone in the GOP committee, and I said, I'm driving 8 Democrats over, 8 ballots over that were Democrats, and 3 were Republicans, but I didn't care. I want people to vote. I want them to be informed. So that was important to me, and it still is. And educating the voters, of course, is the most important thing. But I believe that today the turnout is low because I do think the weather holds a huge. Oh, come on! In this particular election. Well, it's not a local election. I don't think the weather had much to do with it at all. The local elections do bring in more people. We all know that. But the weather, when it's cold, if it's raining out, people are not going to get out and walk that half a block and to go in and vote. And 20 years from now, I'm going to be watching you to make sure you're getting out of your car on a rainy, cold, snowy day, making sure you're voting too, Tim. Tim's going to be happy with either choice and go to my George Will philosophy at that age. Mr. Sandberg. I completely agree with you that weather can play a factor in an election. I personally don't think it played any factor in this particular election. Today, I think it did, a small percentage, of course, but I don't think we were going to get the people out today. There was not a huge interest, not in Crawford County. I think Venango,
the people got out a little bit more because of the state rep race going on over there. So I think, and there was actually, I heard a surprise write-in Meadville today. For who was I talking to about that? Oh, never mind. The
Shall
president
remain
of I
nameless.
Matter, I Vote. Yeah.
Oh, we don't want to give him any credit.
No, we're not giving him any more credit.
Not this Republican table.
Oh, fair.
We got to take another break here in a minute. If any last thoughts on education while we have brought it up that you'd like to put out there, and as we wrap this up, we'll come back and talk more education, I'm sure, because it's very essential. Sometime in a discussion, when I have more time and I don't get fired, I think it'd be very interesting to discuss education and the values that are taught in education, or should they be taught in education. And I was referring, Fred, to some of the things that you were responding to in terms of, as a teacher, should I influence my students in political realm or religious realms or whatever. That's always been, having been 18 years in Christian education, I find that an interesting subject, and that would be fun to discuss sometime. This isn't the place, I'm sure, but that would be fun to do. So,
Yes, it would.
any last comments before we take a quick break? Okay, I want to remind you that this election coverage is brought to you in part by Fine Print, serving the printing needs of Crawford County, the Titusville Area Hospital, high-tech and fine top doctors, GR Cellular, now serving the Titusville community, and they just moved into our community. We welcome them. Moxie Media, Emily Gill is here, and she can talk about that, marketing strategies and media placement. And we also want to thank those who have brought in fine food: Fox Pizza, Warner's Bakery, the Lunchbox Deli. Chris just walking in with some good potato soup, Chris? Yeah. And Titusville Beverage. We thank them all for being part of our broadcast, and we're going to take another quick time out. When we come back, we'll just continue on with more discussions, whether it be education and energy and whatever else comes forward as we look to close. You got 10 minutes, folks, to go vote. So hurry up, get it done, and then we'll tell you if your vote was the right one or not. We have an opinion. We'll be right back.
For over 110 years, Farmers National Bank has been committed to the communities we serve. And being a part of the Titusville community, that commitment has grown stronger. We at Farmers strive to be and do more for our customers and our communities by offering competitive products and local decision-making capabilities. We invite you to visit our Titusville office and speak with Branch Manager John Danzer and Regional Manager Lance Titus regarding all of your banking needs. Come home to Farmers National Bank. There are a lot of misconceptions about counseling. The professionals at Rural Mental Health Associates want to set the record straight. Depression is a real illness and carries with it a high cost in terms of relationship problems, family suffering, and diminished work and school performance. Like adults, children experience stress in their lives. Often they act out what's bothering them. Counseling can teach coping skills. For more information, contact Rural Mental Health Associates today. Donovan and Bauer Auto Group is your home for Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Our lot is filled with new and pre-owned vehicles, and if it's not on the lot, Ronnie the Ram will make sure the staff can find it. At Donovan and Bauer Chrysler, you can expect to find service after the sale with maintenance from their service department and their on-location collision center. Visit us online at www.donovanbauerautogroup.com to find your next Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram, or other pre-owned vehicle. Donovan and Bauer Auto Group on the Hightown Road, Titusville.
Hey, honey. Can you go get Daddy? Can I talk to Daddy? Honey, go get Daddy, please. Come on, go get Daddy. Honey, I need to talk to...
Need a phone? Still under contract? No problem. GR Cellular offers replacement phones for people stuck in contracts. Choose from hundreds of phones, cases, and accessories. Visit GR Cellular on Route 257 in Seneca or on Main Street in Clarion. H&R Block of Titusville has been serving the Titusville and surrounding communities for over 30 years. Our tax professionals receive hours of training and continuing education credits on tax laws annually. With over 97 years of combined tax experience, our tax professionals prepare individual, small business, farms, rentals, and investment returns. H&R Block also offers payroll services for small businesses. H&R Block, located at 109 Diamond Street with plenty of parking and handicap accessibility. Contact your hometown tax pros today at 814-827-1371. Morrison Builder Supply in Titusville carries just about everything you need for your next home fix-it project or for contractors working on any size project. Whether it's electrical, lumber, plumbing, or paint, Morrison's has supplies to allow you to complete your project and get the job done. Attention outdoorsmen, Morrison's too has the best selection of guns, ammo, clothing, and other accessories in stock, and take advantage of great deals on muck boots. Morrison's and Morrison's 2 on West Central Avenue, Titusville.
And welcome back to Election Coverage 2012. Jim Bodemer, Tim Snyder, Joe Otney, and Mitra left us. Pat Donahue and Fritz Smith with us here. We've got about 5 minutes to close down this hour before we go to a news break. And perhaps what we need to do is give you all a chance. Tim's been talking education, and start with you, Tim. And maybe you all have a chance to take about 30 seconds and your final thoughts on education.
Well, I think especially here in the state of Pennsylvania, I think each person needs to ask themselves that question about how important is education to them, and what are the steps that you think you need to take, whether that is contacting your local legislators or even going so far as to contact the governor's office to let them know your opinions. You need to let your elected officials know your opinions about education. The rest of our panel?
I think as an educator, I'd like to say I think education is like a mobile. If you have a mobile hanging and you touch one part of it, you touch it here, it moves over here. Things are connected. The question was raised, what do we do, what do we cut? And we want to make sure we don't cut something that affects something else. And I also believe that all education is moral education because learning conditions conduct. It's a false dichotomy, I think, to separate those, learning and conduct.
Good.
I would say that the thing that parents can do is to contact their state reps and senators if they feel that there's unfair budget cuts going on or anything like that. But I think the real problem with the system is that property taxes are basically unfair. They're more of a regressive tax. They hurt the poor and middle class more. Rural school districts and inner cities that don't have a lot of real estate, they end up suffering because they don't have the property tax value to pump into their budget. So I think people need to pressure their state legislature to change how districts are funded. And the way that gets them motivated the most is if their local school is changing or closing. That's the thing that gets people passionate the most about voting locally.
Pat, you've been sitting and listening to this discussion. You got about 30 seconds or so.
Well, I wasn't part of this discussion. We may talk about this a little more. I'm involved in education. I'm the speech and debate coach at the high school, not as a teacher, as an outsider, and I see the value, that a lot of schools are cutting these kind of programs because of exactly the kind of budget cuts you're talking about, and for not very much money, I see a huge impact on the kids, and I just think that we need to really look at it all, and state supposedly funds 50% of schools, at least that was what the original was, and we're nowhere close to that anymore. So there's a lot to talk about there.
One of my concerns for education, I think, is the amount of federal programs that are written to the school districts, and it might be a title program for 2 years, and forgive me, the only one that comes to my mind is a wraparound, where we have one adult with one student for behavioral reasons or health reasons, whatever. But the problem with the programs, a lot of these title programs, is they write them in such a way that within 2 years, a year or 2 years, the funding quits, but the program has to stay. And it's kind of the mobile mentality that you were referring to. These federal programs are tied in with other areas of education. And if you cut that federal program, you lose the funding to some other aspect of education. And I think sometimes that the state is leading our districts into bankruptcy because of some of these programs. I think the way they fund them has to be looked at and maybe they need to get their nose out of it. But they do tie the hands of our school districts because a $2 million program looks really nice as a grant up until the point the grant stops, and you still have to fund the $2 million, and the taxpayer gets stuck with it. And I know that that does happen, and so I guess I would encourage the state to take a good look at that. And that goes back to what you're saying, Tim. Get a hold of your legislatures. Talk to your legislatures about education. And just as voting, get involved. Get involved with what's happening. They're your children. I would hope you take a great interest in that. And don't be afraid to call your teachers and talk with them. We got some good teachers in this district. And don't be afraid to talk with them. I'm sure that's true of the districts that are listening to our broadcast here this evening. About it for education for now. When we come back, we're going to get into some topics of, we got energy to talk about, and we have some other guests coming in on our panel that have been involved with some discussions in the eastern part of the state in terms of energy and the effect it's going to have in the northwestern Pennsylvania, Titusville, Meadville, Oil City, Franklin. This whole community is going to be highly involved financially and otherwise. There's a lot that comes with the package. It's not all good. But there is a lot of good that comes with it also. Education might be one of them because the tax base is going to change, Fred, when we get some of these job markets going here in the Titusville area. I want to remind you that this coverage is brought to you in part by your Crawford County State Farm insurance agents. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Also, the Venango Area Chamber of Commerce. Visit them online at venangocountychamber.org. Strawbridge Pools and Spas. Make a splash with Strawbridge Pools. We'll be right back, and we'll have some more panel members come in here, and we'll get on with some of the discussions. And the polls will be closing here in about a minute or so, and that means that we'll have some numbers to pass along to you, and we'll just see how this primary election has gone both in Crawford and Venango County. Mark will be getting back to us. He's down in Venango County, Joe and Tom over in Meadville, so a lot more to take place here as we continue our coverage here. The 2012 primary election, we're at the Stream Studios in Titusville, PA. Also, you can hear it on WMVL, Cool 101.7 Meadville. Stay with us. We'll be right back, and we'll continue. We're on until about 10 o'clock tonight, so a lot more coming.
Why sit and listen to others have all the fun when you could own your own above-ground or in-ground pool? Stop in to Strawbridge Pools and Spas today. Ask about their above-ground pool starting at $35.22, and that includes installation and the water. Strawbridge Pools carries Hayward filter systems and Hayward parts. Make a splash this summer with Strawbridge Pools on St. John Street in Titusville.
Watch Primetime on your time with Armstrong On Demand. See top-rated NBC, ABC, and Fox programs, including your favorite reality competition series. And ABC Family and the Disney Channel have great shows for kids of all ages. Armstrong On Demand has more choices than ever. Thousands of titles, most of them free with your Television Plus subscription. It's television on your schedule, so watch it now with Armstrong On Demand. Armstrong, one wire, infinite possibilities.
I love Titusville Area Hospital because it's a small hospital.
The last 2 quarterly reports, Titusville has been in the top 5 community hospitals and patient satisfaction in the state of Pennsylvania.
I think patients are given the opportunity to be cared for right at home rather than having to travel. Everything's contained right here.
Being part of the community and knowing the community makes me do a much better job. We already have a personal aspect with them. I think this little hospital is a perfect thing for this little city.
Venango Area Chamber of Commerce is committed to working with our members and the business community to leverage business advocacy initiatives that are critical to the success of the Venango County area. For us, it's clear. We build, serve, and promote businesses. Visit us at venangochamber.org.
Looking for entertainment for your big event? DJ Todd Entertainment is the affordable and reliable answer. Whether it's a wedding reception, school dance, anniversary, graduation, or birthday party, corporate function, bar, or private club, we can handle it. Our staff brings both experience and professionalism to your event. We've got every style of music and MCs that have fun. Visit us online at djtodd.net. That's djtodd.net. DJ Todd Entertainment, your entertainment solution.
It's the all-new Allegheny Toyota Scion Spring Sales Event with over 200 new Toyota cars and trucks available. For a limited time only, Toyota brought back 0% financing for 60 months on RAV4, Toyota's best-selling SUV, the Venza, Toyota's crossover utility vehicle, Tundra Double Cab, and Tundra Crew Max, Toyota's workhorses. Get 0.9% financing on the Sienna van or Highlander. Lease an all-new 2012 Camry for $219 a month. Lease a Corolla for $169 a month. The grand opening continues at Allegheny Toyota with a Spring Sales Event.
Welcome back to a live coverage of the primary election here in the state of Pennsylvania. We're specifically talking about some issues that affect Crawford and Venango counties. I understand that we have a phone call. We're waiting on that phone call. We talked last hour about education. We also talked about the hot topic of having to have the ID to vote this time around. Taking a look at our panel now. Any topics that you're interested in hitting at some point tonight?
Lon and I were talking off camera about this school. The school that's closing in Meadville and how much. And I said, we were discussing. We find out that we have more agreement than we realized. But
I'm a Democrat now. So
we spent $7 million.
I've been converted. That's how powerful that man is.
We spent $7 million remodeling a school that we're going to close. And I said I made this argument a year ago that one of these schools had to close and we'd spend all this money remodeling them. But the truth of the matter is the school board that voted to spend all that money to remodel those schools ran for the school board, put up a whole slate of candidates, and told us when they ran, we're running for this because we want to keep all the local schools open and we're willing to spend the money to keep them open. They got elected. They did what they said they would do. Their 6-year terms were up and they all left. And now we're stuck with what they did. And unfortunately, I said I wasn't willing to run for school board. I didn't go out and campaign in that election against them. And so I feel like as unhappy as I am about what they did, I have to shut up because it's my own fault,
That's right. It goes back to being involved, what we talked about earlier when the question was asked, is being current. And, Emily, I think that, all of us, at a civilian level outside of the government loop, we all get caught off guard like this. And, when it comes down to it, though, it's our job. It's our responsibility. So, but I don't want to be asking your questions, though, Tim. You're the moderator now. So do we have a call coming in?
Yeah. We're going to go to the phones right now. Hello, are you there?
Hello, it's Joe. How you doing?
Joe, how are you?
Very, very good. Well, we're here inside of the Crawford County Courthouse here, and with Tom Lavery and myself from Cool 101.7, and Tom and I were just talking a little bit about the whole photo ID thing, and we actually have somebody here who might like to talk a little bit about that. Tom?
Absolutely. We have Francis Wierspan Jr. here, and of course, a newly elected county commissioner, and of course, what's your take on the new voter ID thing so far?
Well, people seem to be very supportive of the idea. I've been to several precincts, rotated throughout the day, in early morning, and again at noon, and most all the voters coming in have the voter ID ready and certainly understand the law and are very supportive of it. And I asked the poll workers if that's been the trend all day, and they said pretty much that's the way people have been, that they understand the need for it and are totally supportive. They think it's a great idea.
Well, that's good. We've been hearing that on the stream as well. For our panel over there, they've been saying that there's been a lot of positive responses to it as well. So that's very good to hear. And of course, the weather not being as bad as was predicted, that's also a plus as well. So, and another thing, how's everything going as you're being a new commissioner? How are you adjusting to the new position?
It's been very enjoyable. Everybody here in the courthouse, whether in the commissioner's office or up down the hall, have been great to work with, and certainly been educating me and bringing me along as needed. And I certainly appreciate all their working morale seems to be great, and it's been a great 4 months, and I enjoy going to work every day, and it's a great thing, great people to work with. I certainly enjoy it.
Well, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
Well, we'll go, as while we're still here, one of the other commissioners has snuck into the room, and another guy that wouldn't miss a microphone. Jack just happened to stop by here. Yeah, he snuck in. He snuck in.
Are you there, Joe?
Did we lose our connection? Looks like we lost our connection with Joe Vilke from Cool 101.7. We'll try to get reconnected with him.
Sounds like he had Jack lined up.
Here he comes back.
Looks like they're coming through right now.
Oh, this time it's Mark Heim from Venango County. Mark, you there? Hello, Mark. Are we pushing the right buttons? Hello, Mark. Calling Mark. Yo. I can't build a flare and send a smoke signal, can I? That's all I know. I can't text. I use smoke signals yet. Still there, Mark? Or did we lose you? I guess we lost him. Okay. We have a new gentleman joining our panel. Keith Bromley, who is City Council here in Titusville, has joined us. We welcome you, Keith. Good to have you back.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right. Looks like they just wrapped another one up. I just stopped by City Hall and looked at the numbers. And
what's it look like?
109 for City Hall. I don't know what the other precincts look like, but that's about 20%, I guess, of the vote. So that,
okay.
Considering there are no local races, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good sign. So.
But you haven't heard from any other precincts?
I have not,
yeah.
Jim. Just stopped by City Hall because it was convenient to coming down here, and like I say, it was about 20%. So be anxious to hear what the rest of it was.
Well, if it stays at 20%, we started out the evening, Keith, hoping it would stay at 20. I was kind of pessimistic and saying more like 10. So I'm glad I may be wrong about that, because we need the participation. We've been talking about voter participation and so on. So,
in fact, I think it was about a year ago I said, you know what, you can't complain if you don't vote. And I think we ought to follow through on that.
Yeah, we've been telling people you don't vote, shut up.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't want you too blunt or anything like that with a Keith.
Yes, and there's some people that, I say I vote and they still tell me to shut up. I don't think it's fair.
I've been there and done that. Yeah. Emily Gill is with us again, and of course, along as we continue on, I kind of was late getting in here. The food tasting, and I took a little extra moment to enjoy my Warner's Bakery.
We had a very interesting comment that Pat just brought up before he went to get himself a bowl of soup about candidates who run on a specific issue. And in some cases, if enough candidates run in a particular area, they can push through whatever initiative that is that they were backing, and then the community ends up sort of bearing the brunt of that. So, to our panel, have you experienced that in other communities? I can think of some other instances where I have seen that happen. What are both the plus sides and the bad sides of pushing through an issue like that?
Can I answer that one first? Because this goes back to when I told you I first ran for supervisor.
Right.
And this is what prompted in Salem Township. And for everybody who ran, and this is what made it bad. And this was it was a one-sided issue. You had 3 township supervisors who hired themselves as roadmasters, and this is back in the early 90s. And they're paying themselves $50,000, $60,000 a year in a small township. Anger, furor. In fact, it was on Nightline. A community of people threw tea bags at the supervisors during a meeting. So, but with all this anger, it was the loudest person in the room who a lot of people thought was the smartest person in the room, and they voted new supervisors in, who within a year, Emily, voted themselves as roadmasters too.
I believe it.
So it was all for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And that's where it can go wrong if you do stick to the one issue. And a lot of it in Crawford County, on that side, it was change. And I think that we got a call coming in. Do I have to stop?
Yeah, we do. We're listening to two conversations of yours and Joe's, and Joe Vilke from
Joe Vilke
101.7.
Yeah.
Joe, you there?
Yes, we are here. Sorry about that earlier.
That's okay.
Can you hear us okay now?
Yes, sir. We got you good and clear.
I feel like the Verizon guy. Can you hear me now? We're inside the Crawford County Courthouse right now. We were talking to Francis Reederspan just a little bit ago. Then we tried to talk to Jack Lynch, and as soon as we got Jack in the mic, something mysteriously happened. Yeah. So we don't know if it's because Jack was on the air or why, but we won't hold it against Jack as far as he knows. But anyhow, we got to turn this into some kind of comic relief. It is politics, right? So, I'm just kidding. But anyhow, we were talking to Jack just a couple of minutes ago, and Tom's with me as well. We were just having a conversation here off the air, talking about the voter registration thing. Right. Did that play a factor, do we think, into the people coming out to poll today? Of course, we had a nice day weather-wise compared to the wonderful weather that we had yesterday. What are your thoughts on people getting out to vote today?
Sure. Based on what we're hearing back, and of course the polls are now closed for the last 11 minutes, but even when we went out and did some roving, some folks did express an opinion. They were a little tweaked that they had, this was pending, but there were no ripples in the system in terms of folks voting, and I think most people get that. And clearly the folks that are manning the polls are doing their job. I mean, they don't have a say in this matter, as we discussed. So, no, it was pretty smooth sailing. We didn't hear of any problem out there that we're aware of, which is a good thing. So knock on wood. But in terms of turnout, we were discussing that, this didn't seem like a high-energy election. I mean, with Santorum suspending his campaign, and then there was really only one contested election that folks saw on the Republican side for state Senate. But again, I think that it's critically important that folks do get out. It's one of those things that in our democracy, it's the only voice you have. Yes. And that is a key thing to keep in mind, particularly as we head into the fall. We expect with the presidential election it'll be much better. So today it was very low by most standards, and we'll see what the final numbers are. But so folks know, we anticipate that they'll be maybe historically low.
All right, well, we'll find out in a little bit, but Jack, we'll catch up with you in a little bit, all right?
Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you. All righty, I guess it was the right place to be, was at this office here, so we can catch some people to talk to. So, Tom, we'll come back in just a little bit, and we'll find out some more information. We'll probably start seeing some numbers here pretty soon. We'll let everybody know here. Yeah, we'll let everybody know on the stream here and Cool 101.7. Once again, Cool 101.7 partnering up with TitusvillePALive.com. Of course, carrying a lot of our programming tonight here on Cool 101.7 Radio. So we thank the folks, Luke Rio and the whole panel over there. I was going to say the whole cast, but that wouldn't fit, would it? Call it a panel. We'll call it a panel. And yes, that's right, the distinguished panel, as Tom says. That sounds better. See, he's buttering you guys up. Anyhow, we'll have it all for you here tonight. We're going to continue on until the last number's counted, more or less. So we'll catch up with you in a little bit. We'll send it back to the studios in Titusville with TitusvillePALive.com and the stream and Cool 101.7. Guys, we'll talk to you in a little bit.
Hey, Joe, is Jack still around there?
Yes, Jack is still nearby. I don't know if he'll be able to hear you, but if you'd like to ask him something, I'll ask him for you. How's that?
Well, I don't, but we have Keith Bromley, who has something he'd like to ask Jack, I believe. So if Jack's there, I'll just turn it over to Keith, and he can ask you what he wants. Keith?
Okay, go right ahead.
Ask him what his sign was. Hey, Jack, you there?
Jack won't be able to hear you. This is Joe. I'll read the question back over to Jack so he can hear, okay?
Well, tell him that we said hello from the east.
Okay, he can kind of hear you. I think the folks in Titusville are saying hi. Keith Bromley and the crowd over there are saying hi from the east. They're hanging out in the studios on the east end of the county tonight.
That's right. They sent me from Meadville, and Titusville wants to give me right back.
Stay tuned. Hopefully we can get some voice back from election headquarters here. We'll be heading over there fairly soon after the results start coming in here. So please stay tuned, guys. And we promise to entertain, inform, and all the things that we do so well over here. Appreciate it. We appreciate what you do.
Hey, Jack, we're glad to have you on board.
Yeah, all right, thanks a lot, guys. We'll try and get it so he can hear here in just a little bit. He's unable to hear us right now as we got one earpiece here. We're really high-tech here going portable. Okay, guys?
That's like a weed.
Okay, well, when we get back at you, we
Joe,
will... Lon has a question.
Hey, Joe, this is Lon Wilson. How you doing?
Hey, Lon, how you doing?
Do you still have Jack close by?
Jack is close by, yes.
Yes, I wanted to ask him or Commissioner Wiederspan, Jr., if either of them, I mean, they got their first term going here. What do they hope to accomplish, locally, by the end of their first year? I mean, are they on track?
Now, so I'll let Jack take over here.
Sure, that's a good question, and we've broken it down more or less in quarters and by person in terms of, taking lead on various.
I think that was intentional.
I think we lost you, Joe. I do believe we did.
Some politicians will do anything to dodge a question.
Yeah, Jack says, "Where's the cutoff button? Let's establish that first."
In fairness to even Sherman Allen and all of them, I think every time I've asked them a question, they've been very deliberate with their answers. So
Yeah.
I did give them that.
Well, I'm sure they'd be glad to, and when we get them back, we'll give you a chance to ask that question again, Lon. And
hey, I will tell you this too. I've spent a lot of time with Jack. Jack is very engaged with the East. I think he's a godsend for the East. He's like I said, he's heavily involved. He's involved with shale and other programs, and I'm impressed so far.
Good.
So, not to take anything from Francis, because Francis has been over here too. Sherm hasn't hit this part of the county very much, but he has been over here as well. So it's good to have those guys on board with us.
Speaking of shale, one of the kind of a segue into this next. Did you get your question answered?
I did.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take that from you. We want to talk a little bit about energy, and I know all the panel, those that are on the table and those who are off the side here, probably have opinions on this whole industry that is seems to be heading this direction. Everything I hear is 12 to 18 months plus or minus. I hear all kinds of numbers, things of this type. What impact, generally speaking, before we get into any specifics of it, I know, Keith, you've been involved in this as a city council member over in the Wellsboro area visiting what's going on there. But to all of you, what do you see as the initial impact on our community, and is this going to be good? Dollars aren't always good. They can bring headaches with them. How important is this going to be to northwestern Pennsylvania?
I think one of the things to me, Jim, is that we should focus on is history has shown us that big things like this don't come along very often.
Mm-hmm.
And as a community, we need to put our arms around it. We need to embrace it. We need to get excited about it, and we need to take full advantage of it because, like I said, it doesn't come along very often.
I tend to agree with Keith. I mean, I think there's a lot of negative focus on that industry. There's people with a lot of questions. But, I have to tell you that I haven't come across anybody from the larger oil and gas companies who is not willing to address those concerns. They don't want a PR problem. They don't want your well to taste funny or to smell funny, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that doesn't happen. I think we have an opportunity to leverage or not in our favor, and I think taxing that industry again, some people will say it's maybe a double taxation, could really hinder seeing growth in our area, not just our area, but across the Commonwealth. And I think, Keith said it very well. I think this is an opportunity to embrace it, to leverage it, and to make sure we do it really, really well and with intent. If we step back and kind of somebody else will figure it out for us, we know that doesn't work. We have to take some ownership and some leadership in making sure that's developed well for us here, pun intended.
I am all for embracing these companies and taking advantage of everything we possibly can, but I think Pennsylvania is missing the boat by not having a tax on this. I think these people are still going to come and drill tax or no tax, and I think Pennsylvania is going to be losing some serious revenue by not putting that in place.
You know what, Tim, you raise a very, very good point. And how we handle that, how we handle the next few months is very, very vital to Pennsylvania and the region. One of the reasons why I've kind of maybe leaned forward a little bit in a slightly different direction, my involvement with regard to shale so far has revealed one thing to me that alarms me, and that's this. I haven't seen good examples where some of these revenues come back to a municipality such as Titusville. That worries me. I mean, I'm all for industry doing well and the jobs being there and people being employed, but we need to think about Titusville too. We need to. My concern is to generate some revenues and in my term in office to give back some of the resources and some of the services that we've taken away from Titusville. For example, the paving of the streets in Titusville. Everywhere you go in Titusville, they're horrible. So my focus, I'll be honest with you, is a little bit selfish. I'm looking out hard for Titusville and seeing how we can, that's why we're talking about selling water. That's a big issue. And that's why we're hitting it real hard, because we don't want to miss the boat on those opportunities.
We want to talk about that water issue is one of the things I had in my note, Keith.
Okay.
When we come back, we need to take a quick break here. And this energy question is one that we can spend a great deal of time on. It's really a big question, and it's going to have a major impact, as our panel is talking about, in terms of the economics and other things here in Western Pennsylvania. We'll take another quick time out. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion on energy, and we'll get some numbers in here pretty soon to see how our candidates have prevailed here this evening. 2012 primary election coverage is brought to you here on the stream, TitusvillePALive.com, Cool 101.7. And we ask you to stay with us, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion.
For over 110 years, Farmers National Bank has been committed to the communities we serve. And being a part of the Titusville community, that commitment has grown stronger. We at Farmers strive to be and do more for our customers and our communities by offering competitive products and local decision-making capabilities. We invite you to visit our Titusville office and speak with Branch Manager John Danzer and Regional Manager Lance Titus regarding all of your banking needs. Come home to Farmers National Bank. There are a lot of misconceptions about counseling. The professionals at Rural Mental Health Associates want to set the record straight. Depression is a real illness and carries with it a high cost in terms of relationship problems, family suffering, and diminished work and school performance. Like adults, children experience stress in their lives. Often they act out what's bothering them. Counseling can teach coping skills. For more information, contact Rural Mental Health Associates today. Donovan and Bauer Auto Group is your home for Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Our lot is filled with new and pre-owned vehicles, and if it's not on the lot, Ronnie the Ram will make sure the staff can find it. At Donovan and Bauer Chrysler, you can expect to find service after the sale with maintenance from their service department and their on-location collision center. Visit us online at www.donovanbauerautogroup.com to find your next Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram, or other pre-owned vehicle. Donovan and Bauer Auto Group on the Hightown Road, Titusville.
Hey, honey. Can you go get Daddy? Can I talk to Daddy? Honey, go get Daddy, please. Come on, go get Daddy. Honey, I need to talk to...
Need a phone? Still under contract? No problem. GR Cellular offers replacement phones for people stuck in contracts. Choose from hundreds of phones, cases, and accessories. Visit GR Cellular on Route 257 in Seneca or on Main Street in Clarion. H&R Block of Titusville has been serving the Titusville and surrounding communities for over 30 years. Our tax professionals receive hours of training and continuing education credits on tax laws annually. With over 97 years of combined tax experience, our tax professionals prepare individual, small business, farms, rentals, and investment returns. H&R Block also offers payroll services for small businesses. H&R Block, located at 109 Diamond Street with plenty of parking and handicap accessibility. Contact your hometown tax pros today at 814-827-1371. Morrison Builder Supply in Titusville carries just about everything you need for your next home fix-it project or for contractors working on any size project. Whether it's electrical, lumber, plumbing, or paint, Morrison's has supplies to allow you to complete your project and get the job done. Attention outdoorsmen, Morrison's 2 has the best selection of guns, ammo, clothing, and other accessories in stock, and take advantage of great deals on muck boots. Morrison's and Morrison's 2 on West Central Avenue, Titusville.
Boy, did you notice that when the producer says, "Here we go," everybody shuts up and gets ready? I'm impressed, I'm telling you. Welcome back to the coverage of 2012 primary, and Jim Bodemer and Tim Snyder co-hosting with a good group of people. We've had a good time here the first couple hours in discussing various issues of the election, as well as the social issues that are important to the people here in northwestern PA. How long we left without you having an opportunity to jump in on this energy situation. We want to finish that up, and then we're going to go back to Joe and Mark on the phones. But your thoughts on just general thoughts on the energy discussion we were having?
Well, I thought two good points were brought up, from my colleagues, which I can say that now because it sounds professional. But I think both Emily and Keith brought up two really good points about, about the local, benefits, and then walking the thin line, with the, the tax and what revenue can be generated from this. And, of course, from the conservation side, that it's done well. And I think that's a very good point, too, because, we don't want to be the brunt of another documentary, in Crawford County, because of bad drilling and bad practices and, of course, contaminated lands or waterways. But my point, though, with the tax, if it is another state tax, it is in effect a double tax, Tim. You take a look at what the casinos pay in taxes up in Erie County. I mean, they're taxed to death. I mean, they still make a ton of money. But is Erie County any better? They're scrambling to close schools, too. Honestly, and this is no offense to government officials, because there's a lot of really good ones and a lot of hard, honest, but to put that money in their hands, and when it filters down to actually getting the roads paved, is there a better or direct source where government could be given back in a quicker and efficient way with these tax dollars to actually get these things done? That's my only concern is, okay, you get a good pot of natural gas money, what are you going to do? You're going to and honestly, I can't say that the government would spend it well. I don't think Erie County is any better with the casinos up there. With the money and the revenue they've generated to help them out.
Keith?
Yeah, he raises some good points. I key in on one thing he did say, done well. I want to talk about that for just a second, because I think Titusville and the surrounding area can handle that done well stuff very well. And what I mean by that is this. We've been poking holes in the ground for about 150 years here, okay? And the important thing to put out to the region is we get it. We understand it. And another thing, I think we're all environmentalists. And we just need to be proactive in making sure that we take the proper protection steps that are necessary to keep what we have here. I mean, just go down here to Pine Creek and Oil Creek and see some of the fly fishing going on and some of the beauty with Drake Well. And think about where we started back in 1859. There weren't any trees in this area, folks. And this is a beautiful, beautiful area right here. We get it. We've handled that well. We know how to adjust to those situations. I think we've done it well. I think it's important to point out.
I always argue the point, and I agree the conservation side of it, being one who likes to spend as much time as possible in the woods on horseback and so on. My great-grandfather drilled a well in 1861 out in Schaumburg. The family's still pumping it today. But I defy you to go out. I used to work that lease in the 50s, and I used to pull the wooden plug and drain the brine off onto the ground until the oil started to come, and my grandfather would put that plug in, and I'd plug the well off. You go back and look now, and it is, as you say, Keith, it has grown back magnificently. You almost can't find where the wells were. Now, better luck than good management? I don't know. I just know that with my grandfather's practices, and he did some things to encourage growth back with the brine and so on drawn off. But it can be done, and it can be done well. And I think you're right. I think we are ahead of the game here because we have 150 years experience. The other thing that I like about it, and the taxation side of it, and I'm not sure where we should go with this, what effect that would have on business coming in. Does it not create revenue when we bring businesses into the town? We're going to bring families in. I'm assuming businesses will move into town, and I know they're fixing up one of the buildings downtown right now for one of the companies. I can't name the company, but it doesn't make any difference. Are we not going to increase our tax base just by the nature of the business as opposed to taxing the business in terms of a tax to drill kind of a thing? I don't know. It's just a question I would pose at you.
Well, I think everybody sees the gas explosion as a big piñata, and they'll beat the hell out of it until all the candy's out. And once the candy's gone,
what
are you going to do? So, I mean, I guess I don't know if that was a good analogy.
Well,
It was a strong one.
dollars. Jim mentioned earlier there are some concerns about dollars coming to the area, and he's right on the money. Let me give you an example. I spent some time up in Wellsboro. Maybe this is a good time to start talking about that. We did a brother-sister city thing, and we've gone up to Wellsboro and a couple other communities already, and we've sat down council member to council member, mayor to mayor, businessman to businessman. We've got more of that to do, but some of the things that we have learned already can be somewhat alarming. I'll give you an example. Apartments, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments that went for $400 and $500 a month are now going to $1,600 to $1,800 a month, for example. We had a house, for one example, that was at $750 a month before shale. After shale, it's up to $3,500 a month to rent it. So the reason why that's alarming is the folks, what they're doing is when the lease expires, they're throwing the folks out that were in there, and they're putting somebody in there at the higher price. So that can be kind of difficult on the local folks, and those are some of the things that we need to watch out for.
Now, did they have a solution to that? Have they dealt with that in a positive way?
Well,
I know the homeless would be increased then.
I think the point was, Jim, it's going to happen.
I see.
Get ready for it, because you just have to anticipate those things. One of the ways that you can offset some of that is to make sure that there's all the housing available that you can muster up. But it's going to happen. When they come to town, they're going to come to town. If they have to pay $1,500 a month for something that was normally $400, they're going to do it. So, but conversely, it can also be a real benefit to the community. What you spent $10 for at a hardware store is now $30. So it's going to have some benefit, but it's going to have some pain along with it too. And of course, there's pain any time you grow. Period, like you said earlier. But there's a lot of things to think about. One of the first things that we learned when we got up there, and Luke will tell you, when we sat down, they were so impressed that we were there, that we had arranged the meeting, and that we were there to learn about how to handle shale when it comes to Titusville, Pennsylvania. They were most impressed with that, right from the county commissioner down to there was even a representative of Shell Oil there as well, and they were impressed that we were that proactive. So they said we're definitely off on the right foot.
Now, when you say we, was this city council? This is development, or who's we?
We had county commissioners there. We had the president of the borough council was there. We had members of Shell Oil, the drill company. We had who else was there? Luke. Various other, I think, planning commission folks were there. So it was a nice cadre of people,
Okay.
Folks that have had direct contact with the shale industry in that area up there. So, quite interesting.
Yeah. What logistical things have to happen in our area? I'm thinking in terms of transportation, in terms of high-speed internet. I mean, these kinds of things. What kind of things do we have to put in place for this to work in not just Titusville, but our area? I would assume that this is going to incorporate, as large as this could get, as I read about it, and I don't read a whole lot about it, this is going to have to incorporate Oil City, Franklin. I mean, it's not just Titusville. We're certainly concerned about Titusville living here, but how much impact is that going to have in that respect, and how much work do we have to do structurally, the infrastructure, to make this work? Has that been looked at, or?
We have, and that's what started all this. I give Jim Becker from the Redevelopment Authority a big pat on the back, because he took a big giant step forward in initiating the first meeting. And what we did was we had a meeting here at the TRA, and we invited what we thought would be good players, and we had some guest speakers come in to say, this is what shale you can expect from shale. 10 days later, we brought those same people back together, and we said, now folks, now that you've heard this and thought about it for a few days, are we ready here in Titusville for shale? Naturally, the answer was no, we're not. We're a long ways from being ready. Okay, let's start thinking about some of the things that we need to do to get ready for shale.
Right.
Let's not make the same mistakes that they made over in communities east of here. And that's why we did what we did. And the first thing we did was start planning trips to those communities so that we could do that sit down, that face-to-face, and learn from their mistakes, if you will. And I think it's been very productive.
Ask you to hold your thoughts, because I think we've got Joe Vilke back on the line from Crawford County. Joe, you there?
Yes, we're here. Let's see if we can stay on the line the whole time. We apologize. Every time we try to talk
Sounds
to
like
Jack
he's in a
Lynch,
helicopter.
something happens. So it wouldn't have anything to do with Jack, as far as we know. But Jack, you were quickly talking about we're starting to see some of the numbers come in, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But you were starting to talk to us a little bit about what you guys were looking at as commissioners to get through in the first quarter. Some of the first things you were working on. You were talking a little bit about that, and we got interrupted partway through that conversation. Maybe remind us of some of the things you were talking about. What you're looking for, what you've acquired, or I should say accomplished this first quarter, what you're looking forward to doing the rest of the year with your first year in the chair.
Well, the first thing we talked about was the finances, right, guys? We mentioned that all last year, and that is front and center. So we will have a report. It's in a committee. It's a very capable committee in-house here that has their head around this stuff from an IT perspective, from a numbers perspective, with the existing staff in there. So that'll come down with a series of, I think, fairly sweeping recommendations in terms of where we're at, what we need to do, that kind of thing. That's front and center. Having said that, a lot of what we're involved in is process. So what we're doing is breaking things down by task. We're trying to head things up, if you will. I think that's a departure from past practices on some level. And the balance of the year will be spent with all the boards that we're on, and we've assumed the responsibilities for the various things, whether it's farmland preservation or whatever it is. We're starting to get into a groove with that thing. And one of the things that and I really want this to be a salient point here, is trying to do more with less. We are trying to mobilize our management here in the county. I mean, for example, we've had contractors come in and offer services. We can make some good legwork internally with the staff we have. And I think Francis said it earlier, there's morale's a bit higher. And I think that's true. And I think part of that is when we get to the finances, the budget being a tool, we will enlist the services of those frontline managers to help us, let them be the management officials for the various departments. So that's one of the big things, and that's sort of a cultural change here, and we are hell-bent on doing that. That is something that we see as absolutely fundamental to government, and also trying to create linkages with other government, local government, the city. And those are all works in progress. The COG, I think we all have to think a little differently about working together for the common good, because of whether the state, a county, the city, townships, most folks are experiencing some fiscal pressure, and I think that's the theme we're catching. We know that, so we've got to be smart about the assets we have and utilize them as greatly as we can to their greatest potential.
Well, very good. Well, we'll come back in a little bit. We're going to head back to Titusville and our cool studios as well, and come back and talk in just a second. Somebody talking in my ear? Go ahead.
Yeah, Joe, this is Lon again. Keith had a question. I just one quick one from one of the commissioners. The Tires to Energy plant, where's it at? It's kind of fallen off the pages of the newspapers. Where's it stand right now?
Where they're asking where things stand with the Tires to Energy plant, what you guys are hearing about it, what you guys may know about it at this point. Go ahead.
What we know is what we hear as well. As far as I know, that it has been challenged in court, and that's where it's at in terms of its overall permitting. And I think there's one of several groups that have challenged that. So we don't get reports. We hear inquiries, and we get inquiries here about what's happening. So as far as we understand it, it is tied up in a legal process that is essentially challenging the permitting of this plant, and that is something that will probably be drawn on here for some foreseeable time.
Does that answer you guys' question then?
Yeah. Hey, ask Jack, if you would, what the turnout looks like for Crawford County. Has he seen those numbers yet?
Hey, Keith. Yeah, they're pretty dismal. What we're seeing here, we did some roving today. And for example, when I voted up Westmead, I was number 36.
Wow.
And that was in the morning. So that's not boding well, I think, for the overall turnout. And when we did some roving, that's one of the first questions we asked Keith. And the numbers, I think, are down pretty much across the board. We talked a little bit about that being maybe there's not the energy in this particular election, which is a shame. But with the one contested state senate run on the Republican side, but I don't know what it's like in Titusville. Can you guys tell me what you know about that over there?
Absolutely. I stopped by City Hall on the way down here. That's only one precinct, Jack, but it appears as if we're hovering right around 20%. In light of the fact that that's doesn't reflect local election, I think that's pretty good turnout for Titusville.
Is it really? Okay,
yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, Keith. We don't know because some of the outlying districts, I think there was a lot of energy locally last year. I think we all, recognize that. But maybe it'll pick up in the fall. But right now we're seeing some lows here that folks tell me are sort of historic. So we'll see how it comes in.
Well, thanks for taking time out of your life to visit with us.
No problem.
Any other questions?
Talk to you soon.
Jack, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, then we'll get back to you guys over in Tyler and on Cool 101. Yep, no problem. And C. Sherman Allen, he's busy very deep in some heavy-duty paperwork right now. So we'll get back and talk to him just a little bit later. So, guys, if you want to take things back over at Titusville headquarters over there, we'll talk to you again in just a little bit from Cool 101.7 and the stream, Joe Vilke and Tom Lavery. We'll catch up with you in a little bit, okay?
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You know, it's an interesting thing to listen to this fade in and out. I have a daughter that's 3.5 years in the United States Air Force, and she just Skyped me the other day from Dubai, and it was like she was in the next room. It's just absolutely incredible what technology has brought us, isn't it?
Oh, he is in the next room.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the next room. We're just fooling everybody with this whole. Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, we've been talking about the energy situation, and I don't know where we were when we left off here to go with Joe.
We're kind of talking about trips to Wellsboro and how we got that kicked off. And one of the things I wanted to say is that second meeting, we brought everybody back together. And what we did with that second meeting, Jim, was we asked everybody, do you think Titusville is ready for shale? And the obvious answer was no, but heck no. We're not anywhere close to it. Okay, now that we've established that, what do we need to do to get there?
Yes.
And that's what developed these trips. We actually formulated 4 committees out of that. One of which I'm on is in fact, I co-chair it with Jack, is the Communications Committee for Shale. And we kind of feel that the Communications Committee is probably leading edge to shale for the Titusville area. And we think we're playing a pretty big role in there and educate the public as to what it means, how it impacts us, and what it means in the future. So we're excited about it. We have a good cadre of people. Luke's on board with us, and we're going to have fun with it. We're going to come out of the gates pretty hard with it, and it's moving along. So
we're going to go talk with Mark Hines here in a second on the phone. So one of the questions we'll come back to is time frame.
Okay.
What's the time frame in all this happening? How much time do we have to get ready for this shale industry, and can we get it done by the time they're ready to come?
I have an answer for you.
Okay, I'm sure you do. I appreciate it too. Mark, you there? We're calling Mark. Hello, Mark. You're down in Venango County. We need to hear from you. Because Luke said we were going to. Mark, you there? Can't find him, Luke? Not yet. Okay, well, we'll try again here in a little bit and catch up with Mark. I'm sure has some numbers and some different things that are happening down in Venango County. Let's go back to that then, Keith. We have... Oh, wait a second. Maybe we do have a call coming in. Catch up with Mark. Hey, Mark, you there?
Let's go back to that.
Hello, Mark. Can you hear us?
We think need to send him to Dubai. Instead of Venango County.
Better signal from Dubai.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, can you hear us up? Doesn't sound like it. And we'll let Luke continue to work at that. And Keith, let's go back to that time frame. What does it look like in terms of, I think I mentioned at the beginning, a year, 18 months is the numbers I'm hearing. And does that give us time to do the legwork and things that need to be done?
We're going to take a heck of a crack at it. It's interesting. When we first, it wasn't all that long ago, Jim, that we started talking about this. And I will tell you that when we initially started talking about it, the first conversation was, ain't never coming here. And that went from there to maybe 2 to 3 years out. And now I hear some key people starting to panic a little bit, saying it could be as little as 12 months away. Just this week, not a guy that operates off a rumor, but just this week, I've learned that there are some very, very busy restaurants in the Seldom Scene area. Am I saying that right? Over by Titusville?
Yes, Seldom Scene.
Seldom Scene. There's one company that walked in the door and asked for 50 hoagies every day at 11 o'clock. So we're seeing some activities, and that may very well be test wells.
It is a test well.
Or Lon Wilson hungry. Yes, ordering hoagies.
Yeah,
but Keith is right. I mean, the amount of advertisement even we're receiving at the area shopper from the lawyers it's steady and it's increasing, not just from one legal group. It's several from Pittsburgh, West Virginia, wherever they're coming in that have the expertise in that area. But those are town hall meetings, and meetings are springing up and being announced all the time. So looks like it's crunch time.
I applaud Jim Becker and his group for their efforts and stepping forward, stepping up to the plate. I don't think it can be too soon, our preparation. Just this week alone, we're holding a special meeting at the City Council on Thursday evening to address an agreement between Hunt Oil Group and the City of Titusville to sell water to that group.
Now, I heard that's like 400,000 gallon.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'd like to set the record straight on that. We've had some concerns. We've had some people write letters to the paper thinking that we're going to destroy our water system.
Sure.
Keith Bromley would not support it one bit if I thought there was even a chance of doing just that. Just to simplify this, if you stand in the middle of Titusville and do a 360-degree turn, you will notice that there are hills all the way around you. We have an excellent aquifer that we're sitting on top of, for which we have tapped our water system. There's 10 wells, by the way. And we have the capability of, and I've just recently learned this myself, Jim, but we have the capability of pulling 20 million gallons a day out of that well in that system. We use on an average daily base 1.2 to 1.3 million. Hunt wants to buy from us about 400,000 gallon a day. So you can see, even with those two combined, we don't even get close to the 2 million mark, which is about 10% of the capacity of that well system. Those are incredible numbers. And so I just want to give people a comfy feeling there that we're not going to destroy the well. We are going to take some steps to create a reservoir system so that we don't put any more burden on the well system that we have to. Some precautionary things, but I don't think there's any chance at all that we're going to harm this well in any way. Interesting numbers.
Keith, you just mentioned letter to the editor. I got to ask a question. As an elected official, how much more does it mean to you when you get a letter personally as opposed to reading a letter to the editor in the paper?
In fact, we have had that. Just recently, we've had letters to the editor. We received personal letters. One letter we received, a gentleman wrote a letter to the editor, and then he found out that you're only allowed to send one letter to the editor, one per month per person. So he sent his second letter directly to us so that we were in receipt of it. I didn't learn that until just this week. But they all mean the same. I mean, obviously with the personal touch and people personally taking the time to sit down and write it and pass on their concerns to you is a very, very important thing, very important part of the process.
Back to a comment that we touched on earlier. I think people undervalue contacting their elected officials, and whether that be city council, school board, state representatives. Sometimes people just say, well, it doesn't matter what I think. You know what it does?
Mm-hmm. It's huge.
Often elected officials will take a few minutes. They may not be able to give you hours of time to talk to them, but they'll take a few minutes to discuss that problem and let you know their views and take your input.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, a semi-legal question concerning the drilling situation I'd like to bring up and see what our take is on that from our panel. You're watching and listening to the 2012 primary election coverage. It's on the stream at TitusvillePALive.com. Also listening to it over WMVL 101.7 in Meadville. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with energy. And if you'd like, we'd like you to join us. I'll give you a way of getting in contact with us when we come back after this break. Stay with us, please.
Donovan and Bauer Auto Group is your GM home for Chevy, Buick, and GMC vehicles. Our lot is filled with new and pre-owned vehicles, and if we don't have it, we'll find it. Our staff will help you through the entire process, and we're here after the sale with our service department and collision center. Visit us online at www.donovanbauer.com to find your next vehicle, or stop in and talk to the pros at Donovan and Bauer Auto Group on the Hightown Road in Titusville.
Colonial Machine Company in Pleasantville is a proud supporter of the Titusville Rockets. The Colonial Machine Company takes pride in their products, working hard to manufacture and supply a quality product that's priced right and made right here in the USA. The Colonial Machine Company would like to wish the Rocket athletes best of luck on and off the field and remind you that you are a product of your school and the community. So continue to work hard, play hard, and maintain the quality of excellence that Rocket fans have come to expect. Go Rockets from the Colonial Machine Company in Pleasantville.
Country Acres Personal Care Home provides their residents with the care that they have come to deserve. The caring staff attends to the needs of its residents, and the home provides spacious rooms and bathrooms. And now Country Acres offers adult day care for those loved ones that need a little care during the day, while also providing respite care. For more information on Country Acres Personal Care Home, please call 827-3708 or visit them just past the airport on Route 27. Country Acres Personal Care Home. Wishing Alyssa, Titusville, and Maplewood the best of luck this sports season.
Your inner ear helps center you and gives your body a sense of balance. If you're feeling like the world is spinning or having trouble with dizziness and disorientation, it could be a balance disorder caused by a problem in the inner ear. A simple test done at Ear, Nose, and Throat Associates of Northwestern Pennsylvania can determine what is causing these symptoms, so you can soon feel right again. The Hearing Care Center, only at the office of Dr. Mark Maslov at Ear, Nose, and Throat Associates of Northwestern Pennsylvania. 4 locations, 3 specialties, 1 doctor.
H&R Block of Titusville has been serving the Titusville and surrounding communities for over 30 years. Our tax professionals receive hours of training and continuing education credits on tax laws annually. With over 97 years of combined tax experience, our tax professionals prepare individual, small business, farms, rentals, and investment returns. H&R Block also offers payroll services for small businesses. H&R Block, located at 109 Diamond Street with plenty of parking and handicap accessibility. Contact your hometown tax pros today at 814-827-1371. Morrison Builder Supply in Titusville carries just about everything you need for your next home fix-it project or for contractors working on any size project. Whether it's electrical, lumber, plumbing, or paint, Morrison's has supplies to allow you to complete your project and get the job done. Attention outdoorsmen, Morrison's 2 has the best selection of guns, ammo, clothing, and other accessories in stock, and take advantage of great deals on muck boots. Morrison's and Morrison's 2 on West Central Avenue, Titusville.
And welcome back to the election coverage here in 2012. And as we continue on, we have a chance to talk maybe with Mark. We've been trying to get a hold of Mark down in Venango County. I think we got him on the line before we go back to our energy discussion and see what's happening in Venango County. Mark, you down there? Hello, Mark.
Yes, hey. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hey. We've been hollering at you for about an hour and a half, partner.
Well, yes, I'm here.
Good, good. What's happening down your way?
Well, it was an extended 50s moment.
Okay.
So far, we have not received any results as of yet. And we are, as I say, awaiting the results. They have not arrived yet. From all the reports that we've seen, though, the voter turnout here seems to be light, but we have not had any official word as to what those voting turnout numbers would be.
Yeah, Keith Bromley's here. He said he stopped by City Hall. That's the only one he spoke with, but seems to be about 20% up this way. Have you heard any number at all, or is it less than that, or don't you really know? Mark, you still there? We losing? Mark?
Yes.
Oh, okay. We were just saying that the turnout here seems to be around 20%, and I just was curious as to whether or not you'd heard any number at all.
No, we haven't heard any number whatsoever. No, I haven't heard a thing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What time do you expect reports coming in? About half an hour?
Well, usually by about this time, we're expecting sometime between 9 and 9:15 that we should start seeing results.
Okay. We'll holler back at you in about 15 minutes then. You still there? Somehow I think we're losing Mark from time to time. He's having a 50s moment and I'm having a 70s moment.
Yes, I'm still here. There appears to be somewhat of a delay.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't even think about the delay.
So we could say something about him and then hang up and
he wouldn't be able to respond.
Couldn't respond. I like it.
Yeah. Well, give us a call back when numbers start coming in, will you, Mark?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, buddy. Talk to you after a bit. Thank you. That's Mark Heim, and he is at the Venango County Courthouse. And, of course, the election down there is with Mr. Hutchison and seeing how that plays out for this evening. We have just, what do we have, Luke? Just a couple minutes before we got to take a break. So give you all a chance to kind of finish up any thoughts you have on this energy discussion, and I'll postpone my legal question until later. Lon, you want to start?
Well, I just want to thank Luke and Joe Vilke, two great independent operators that see the importance for local media and local coverage, and invest a lot of their time and their own resources into doing that. So, again, when we talk about people complain, they're not voting and they complain. Well, people complain about everything being corporate and sterilized or whatever. Well, there's two young men that are out there really trying to pave the way and keep the independent broadcaster alive. So I say thank you to them. And thank you to everybody for having me. I've always wanted to be a pundit. So when I was growing up, I asked my mother, I said, I'd like to be a pundit. And now I had that opportunity. That scratched off the list. The next is to be the Easter Bunny. So
we'll have you come back and be a pundit again so you can become an expert at it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Enjoy having you.
Well, I'd like to thank Luke and the stream for inviting me too. I guess I just want to leave you with thoughts of finding ways to get younger people engaged. And I won't say so much in the political process. I think for young people it's more about civic engagement. I think the more connected they feel to a community, the more they start to care, and the more they naturally become more aware of how everything impacts their life. So we need to find a way to do that and develop new leaders like we talked about earlier. And I'm really excited for the election results. Can't wait to stay tuned and see what happens.
Keith, got about 30 seconds, buddy.
Yeah, great. I'd like to echo what they said. This is a great show. Luke, you do a fabulous job. One of the things I like about it, it brings a lot of really cool people together to talk about Titusville, and that's what I'm all about. Thanks again, Luke, for your efforts.
Tim?
I don't know how I keep getting roped into this. Everybody else is happy to be here. Luke just says show up.
Well, I tell him if you don't come, I don't come. So, Besides, I get $40 an hour. So,
whoa!
Oh, you didn't know? Oh, I'm sorry, Luke. There I did.
We're going to have to renegotiate a contract.
Oh my goodness, I blew it again. Well, we'll argue this out during this break and see if we can't get things settled down here. Ain't got a union rep around here someplace. Anyway, welcome back, and we'll finish up the last hour. Stay with us. We got one more hour of broadcast time, and we'll run past the numbers as soon as we get them.
Why sit and listen to others have all the fun when you could own your own above-ground or in-ground pool? Stop in to Strawbridge Pools and Spas today. Ask about their above-ground pool starting at $35.22, and that includes installation and the water. Strawbridge Pools carries Hayward filter systems and Hayward parts. Make a splash this summer with Strawbridge Pools on St. John Street in Titusville.
Watch Primetime on your time with Armstrong On Demand. See top-rated NBC, ABC, and Fox programs, including your favorite reality competition series. And ABC Family and the Disney Channel have great shows for kids of all ages. Armstrong On Demand has more choices than ever. Thousands of titles, most of them free with your Television Plus subscription. It's television on your schedule, so watch it now with Armstrong On Demand. Armstrong, one wire, infinite possibilities.
I love Titusville Area Hospital because it's a small hospital.
The last two quarterly reports, Titusville has been in the top 5 community hospitals and patient satisfaction in the state of Pennsylvania.
I think patients are given the opportunity to be cared for right at home rather than having to travel. Everything's contained right here.
Being part of the community and knowing the community makes me do a much better job. We already have a personal aspect with them. I think this little hospital is a perfect thing for this little city.
Venango Area Chamber of Commerce is committed to working with our members and the business community to leverage business advocacy initiatives that are critical to the success of the Venango County area. For us, it's clear. We build, serve, and promote businesses. Visit us at venangochamber.org.
Looking for entertainment for your big event? DJ Todd Entertainment is the affordable and reliable answer. Whether it's a wedding reception, school dance, anniversary, graduation, or birthday party, corporate function, bar, or private club, we can handle it. Our staff brings both experience and professionalism to your event. We've got every style of music and MCs that have fun. Visit us online at djtodd.net. That's djtodd.net. DJ Todd Entertainment, your entertainment solution.
It's the all-new Allegheny Toyota Scion Spring Sales Event with over 200 new Toyota cars and trucks available. For a limited time only, Toyota brought back 0% financing for 60 months on RAV4, Toyota's best-selling SUV, the Venza, Toyota's crossover utility vehicle, Tundra Double Cab, and Tundra Crew Max, Toyota's workhorses. Get 0.9% financing on the Sienna van or Highlander. Lease an all-new 2012 Camry for $219 a month. Lease a Corolla for $169 a month. The grand opening continues at Allegheny Toyota with a Spring Sales Event.
And welcome back to 2012. I was going to say 2011. I was really going to regress, wasn't I?
With the times, Jim.
2000, yeah, I wish I could. 2012 primary election coverage here at the Stream and on Cool 101.7. Change panels, Pat and Mitra and Fred back with us. And let's just kind of change topics. If you guys want to, we've got a last hour here. We're going to try to get numbers and stuff to throw out to some people before we get off the air here at 10 o'clock. But so if you want to go back to energy and so on, we can. Let's talk a little bit about the effect of the national election coming up, the presidential elections and so on. How it's going, and if things stay the way they are things going to change, and how that's going to affect us and so on here within our area. I don't know if you have much time, if you give any thought to that, but head that direction. You've got obviously Mr. Obama, who will be the Democratic nominee. I'm assuming Mr. Biden will still be there. I don't know. I get a chuckle, Pat. I know this is your party and your party, Tim, but I get a chuckle out of some of the jokes I see about Mr. Biden, and I don't know if they're true or not. I have to believe they're so off the wall that I can't believe that he has made them. But is he the serious? Is there a possibility that he's on the ticket, not on the ticket?
Absolutely none. Absolutely none. He will be on the ticket.
It would be kind of ludicrous to change it, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
and almost a death nail.
They have a terrific relationship between the president and the vice president, and I don't think there's any chance they'll mess with it. I have been a little bit involved in the presidential campaign for Obama, so it's kind of interesting. I was talking to somebody over here about how organized the Obama campaign is, and I mentioned my daughter, who is they call her neighborhood coordinator because they set up lots of these neighborhood groups, but she's the original neighborhood coordinator for Crawford County. And she is organizing their... So why are you guys playing with the mics? She's organizing... Sorry. It's entertaining over here. She's organizing their campaign. But it's just amazing what they're doing, how many people they have on the ground. We talk about get out to vote. You know, the Obama is unopposed in the primary. They had a 4-day get out to vote campaign in Meadville. I know that they had at least 50 people out on the street knocking on doors, and that many more on telephones making phone calls. They have a schedule of what they're going to do between now and the election, and they have scheduled 13 million phone calls in Pennsylvania between now and the election. You know, every weekend there's phone banking going on, and So
Is that the room in the White House? that they do the phone
no,
calls
that's actually they
I'm
did them.
kidding.
They did them from my dining room twice. They do it wherever they can because cell phones. It's a whole different world too.
Yeah.
You don't have to go somewhere where there's a lot of phones. No, that's 13 million phone calls in Pennsylvania. So I want to mention something else because Luke told me to make sure I mentioned this. My daughter just came back from the White House. Actually, she got invited to the Easter egg roll. My daughter, my son-in-law, and my 2 granddaughters went down to the White House, attended the Easter egg roll. It was very exciting to be part of that. We've all seen it on TV, but they were actually there and went on the grounds. And my almost 3-year-old daughter was very entertaining. She was pretty excited. She knew she was going. She's going to the president's house and look for Easter eggs, she told me. Like he needed help. She thought maybe the president needed help finding his Easter eggs. But that was sort of one of the perks of how involved she is in the campaign. But I say it's a very well-organized campaign. They really want to win Pennsylvania. And not just win Pennsylvania. They want to win it bigger than they won it 4 years ago. So they're working very, very, very hard. And
one of the other key states that I've heard mentioned in the past week or so for both parties is North Carolina. One that I don't hear, you usually hear Pennsylvania, Florida, Ohio. Somehow North Carolina has reared itself up here. What's the significance of that? Are you guys involved in that enough, Fred, to understand that one?
Well, it's the electoral math. The Republicans count on winning the South. The Democrats count on winning the West Coast and the Northeast. And so I think when Obama won that the last time around, it took a chunk out of that guaranteed Republican electoral vote. And the Republicans more so need to win those battleground states than Obama does. Obama can afford to lose a handful of states, actually. But Romney needs to win as many as possible out of those battleground states. So it's very important.
I think that I just saw some math, and it said Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan. And that if Obama wins any 2 of those, the electoral map puts Romney out of it. He has to win 5 out of those 6 in order to win the election. So we're going to see a lot of campaign here in Pennsylvania. A lot of campaign. Yeah. I mean,
talking about the Electoral College, I know that, from the time that I learned about it in school, it was frustrating to me. Why can't we simply just go by the popular vote?
Because when we formed this country, we had a compromise because Virginia, a couple of other Pennsylvania, and a couple of other the big states were so much bigger than all of the southern states that they didn't want to be part of a union for fear they would get pushed out. So that was the solution. That was the trade-off. We're going to let you each have 2 senators, no matter how many people you have. You're going to all have at least 1 congressman, and you're all going to have as many electoral votes as you have representatives, and so it made it a reason for the small states to join the large states in a union. And, here we are 250 years later, 240, and we're dealing with it. And, they didn't have the ability back then either to count the votes like we do. They actually elected electors who then went, and people didn't know who the president was until the Electoral College met and elected the president. We all know who won. 15 minutes after the polls closed, we have all the numbers, but those times, they didn't have it back then. But we have it still. We're going to have it forever, aren't we?
We're just looking at the screen here. Luke has put up 29% turnout in Polk Borough. No numbers, but that is the order in which they are running.
Check it out.
Mitt Romney, Ron Paul, Rick Santorum, Newt Gingrich are running in that order.
That's the order on the ballot.
So,
that's the ballot order.
That's what I thought it was.
That's the ballot order. That's not.
Now, talking about the Republican ticket, how much does it mean, or what's the impact when Newt Gingrich hangs in this race?
He takes a small percentage of the vote away, but I really don't think it has an impact on Mitt Romney's roll up to the nomination. He's already started, as soon as Rick Santorum dropped it out, to engage the president basically and make it a 2-man race between himself and and President Obama. So Newt Gingrich is just going to hang in there for ego's sake, and he had some hopes of winning Delaware. I just read on Politico earlier, but that didn't happen because Delaware just got declared for Mitt Romney. So
I actually had someone tell me that if he didn't win Delaware, he'd probably drop out of the race. So
I read that today.
did you read that today? Yeah.
One of the bloggers read that.
I heard him say today. I actually heard that. Yeah.
There are 5 states. We talk about Pennsylvania, but there's New York, Delaware, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Pennsylvania who are holding primaries today. So it's not just the Pennsylvania ballot. But I did read that, and I think Fred's probably right on it. Mr. Gingrich is just there. The only real viable threat the last few months has been Mr. Santorum, and of course he has chosen to drop from the race. And the only thing we're waiting for now is to determine how Mr. Romney is going to go about his selection of a vice president candidate, and that's going to be important. You talked about the vote, Pat. Will the Republicans go for the Southern vote? Will they go for Marco Rubio, who is a Florida man? Even heard West's name mentioned for a while, or is he going to try to go, into Ohio? There's a lot of questions as to it's all a numbers game, and where he's weak, where he's strong, that kind of thing. So it makes it a tough call that way.
I think it's you always hear people say it's the first important presidential decision you make.
Yeah.
And I think they learned a lesson 4 years ago that you want to make sure you make a good decision, that you know what decision you're making. Yeah. So I think he's going to take time. But I lean toward Rob Portman. I think that's going to be his choice, the Ohio senator.
Yeah. It could be, because Ohio's a swing.
Rubio was talking the other day. You were saying that he hasn't really officially announced anything, and of course he hasn't, but he did have a slip of the tongue.
Yeah.
And he said, when I'm vice president, and then he stopped, and the crowd kind of just chuckled and stuff. But I honestly think he did that on purpose, just to get the people talking. I don't think it was really a slip like they were talking. It was a slip of the tongue. But
well, he's making a major policy speech pretty soon here, and I can't remember where it is. It's going to be a foreign policy speech,
Mm-hmm.
so why they're making such an issue with that, he's speaking with some particular group. But the press is out there like we are, kind of guessing as what's going on and playing the game. So it makes for good press, I guess. We just have to wait and see. The state races, where are we in the state races? Let's see. Of course, Brad Rowe is unopposed. So,
no, I was told he had a write-in candidate today.
Oh, did he?
But that's on the Democratic side, so he's unopposed in the primary.
Oh, he's unopposed in the primary. In the primary, I'm sure,
I'm jumping
yes.
ahead, Pat.
Yeah. Maybe he's going to be opposed in the fall because there was a write-in candidate.
But he didn't know there was going to be one.
No, it's a surprise.
You know what Brad needs help with?
We were talking about this when we were earlier about becoming a candidate to the convention, and I was going to write my name in.
Write yourself, but sure.
Yeah, but then Pat told me how much it cost. I'm sure glad I raised that.
Maybe the Republican maybe it's cheaper. Maybe the Republicans pay your way.
It is, because Republicans are more conservative with their money, Pat.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you know what Brad's...
But we don't have these $800,000 parties all the time, do we?
I just want to say, Brad needs help.
Brad needs help?
Brad needs help. He needs people to know how to correctly pronounce his last name.
Roy.
Roy.
What did I say?
You said Roe.
I say Roe, too.
Roy.
Yeah.
He told me it was Roy.
That's Rory.
Roy.
Brad Rory.
He's a great speaker.
Not if you don't pronounce his name correctly.
No.
As far as politicians go, I think in this area he gets his name butchered more often than anybody else.
I'm sure I've done that many, many times. I know it's Rory.
If I spelled my name that way, I'd have changed it to Roe a long time ago.
That's kind of like Luke Ruot.
Yeah, Ruot. Yeah. Why would you have a name called
Don't start with names. I have a simple name myself.
Mitra.
Mitra, yeah.
And what's your son's name?
Reza.
That's a very common name.
3 months before I was sure what her name was, though, because it's not a name that's very common, and I kept trying to get her name right, and finally Keith took me aside and said, "Her name is Mitra." Sorry.
Hey Pat, let me address this. I was on Mitra's webpage here earlier. Let me look at this real quick. There's a couple of candidates that I found interesting in the Democratic side, and you guys can fill in for a second here while I find it.
Talk among yourselves, huh?
Yeah, talk among yourselves there, man.
There's a lot of interesting Democratic candidates. Hey, wait a minute.
Let's talk about the website.
Okay, it's for the United States Senate, and Bob Casey. Of course, we all know Bob Casey. But Joe I can't pronounce it.
That was an interesting thing that he was running.
Varvarka, is that?
You know, they had an article in the newspaper the other day, and they had a candidates forum, and it was all the Republicans and the one Democrat that's running against Casey, and they were interviewing people afterwards, and the Republicans that were there said, well, we really like that other guy. You know, they didn't know he was the Democrat.
Well, well, that was my point. I read his bio and stuff off of I Vote, I Matter, and he's not your typical in terms of 2012 Democrat. He's a businessman, and he wants one term, and he's sick and tired of this and that. I was kind of impressed as a conservative Republican with what the stuff he had. Oh, okay, me, do you want to argue this point, I take it?
Well, you know, I just want to say one thing. A lot of them do go in there saying they just want one term.
Oh, I
That's
understand.
just a normal thing. I don't trust that.
Well, no.
That means they're a career
when Newt
politician.
Gingrich got elected, he said the most he would serve was 4 terms, you know. Absolutely. 8 years and he was out, and all the people that got elected.
But you know, but in the same side of that coin, I talked with one of my favorite congressmen, John Peterson. I always liked John when he was a state senator and then a congressman. And John said to me that, I hope I'm not embarrassing John with this, he had to leave office, and Mr. Thompson took over, or won the election and took over. But Mr. Peterson said he'd been in for 12 years and was just after 12 years getting to the point where he had some influence in Congress. Now, he was one of the leading architects of energy. He and I can't remember who was on the other side of the aisle, the Democrat. There was 2 of them, Mr. Peterson and another gentleman. And when the presidents, be it Mr. Bush or whomever, wanted information on energy, they went to Mr. Peterson and said in person. And so his argument, because I brought this very point up, professional politicians drive me nuts. I'm in favor of term limits, but his point was well taken. The structure is such right now that in order to get your foot into the door where you have some kind of a political clout or whatever term you want to use, you've got to be there a while. So the system has to be fixed, or something has to happen if we want to go to the term limit.
I'm a big supporter of incumbents, whether they are Republicans, Democrats, or other, for that very reason, because often the longer you are in that particular office, the more you move up as far as committee structures go and the more influence that you have.
But the more obligations you encounter, too. I think it's a good point. Fred?
People distrust long-term politicians, but they dislike bureaucracy more. So if you put term limits on politicians, how are they going to be able to deal with a bureaucrat that's been in there for 40 years? California has term limits, but by the time that they learn the ropes, they're out of the state legislature, and that's why California has a lot of problems with deficits and just a bad budget. So term limits can be a mixed bag. You get new ideas and new people in there, but then they often can't get their hands around the bureaucracy and the regulation and the problems they need to address.
I think part of the problem, it isn't so much that the incumbency, it's the money that goes with being an incumbent. You know, to run against an incumbent congressman, I mean, absolutely, you have to be able to say, I can raise $3 or $4 million, because you're not gonna be a competitive if you can't. If you can't figure out a way to get $3 or $4 million to run for a job where you ought to be able to knock on the door and talk to every person in the district, you know? I mean, in reality, it's not that big a, you know, you're not representing that many people, but so that's the problem with incumbency, is once you're in there, they keep raising money, and to raise money, you make promises, and the next thing you know, we're back. That's the problem. It's not the incumbency that's the problem; it's the money that they got and the people that they've.
And what's it going to cost this year to win the presidency? Billions.
At least
wouldn't be a
if you
surprise.
don't spend $750 million, you know.
I'll bet it goes into the $1 billion mark this year. Unbelievable.
I agree.
Unbelievable. I don't care what department, what party you're with.
I don't think they're going to hit it. I don't think they're going to hit $1 billion, but I think they're going to do over $700 million.
We'll go a steak dinner on that, Pat. If I lose,
$300 million, should we? You know.
If I lose, Luke Rowat will buy your dinner for me. We need to take a quick break. I'm sorry. What?
I was just going to say,
okay,
some Western European countries like France, they have limits on how much, like only $70,000 or $100,000 that you can spend, and it comes from tax dollars, kind of like that little $3 check mark at the top of your tax form. that goes to that. It's public finance. But here, it's a freedom of speech issue. And right now, according to the Supreme Court, you're allowed to spend as much money as you want and get as much money as you want.
Yeah.
So that's
Money
the issue.
is speech.
Yes.
That's what they decided.
And both sides have their... I watch both Fox News and CNN, and you have right-wing and left-wing pundits that complain about George Soros and the Koch brothers, but both sides have multimillionaires or billionaires that fund their campaigns, so both sides have them.
Sure do.
Absolutely.
Sure do.
As far as campaign commercials go, I like knowing who the candidate is and what they stand for. Cannot stand negative advertising. That, for me, turns me off often of whoever it is who's, trying to sway me the other way. Just negative advertising, I think, just puts so many people in a bad mood.
It does. One time I was driving our U.S. Senator Pat Toomey around, and I said to him where'd that come from, Luke? Let's all dance. There's the elephant. Yay.
I remember that ad right there, folks.
Wow.
Apparently he
I'm
doesn't want to hear
glad
about
I don't know.
Jim's the third donkey from the left.
Yeah, you know what?
I'm glad you said donkey.
This is when they didn't have color. They didn't have color.
Oh, no, my goodness, no.
I can remember our first color TV, so let's not talk about it.
Yeah, no.
We were in history class, Fred, in 1960, and we didn't have lunch programs and all that stuff in the school districts, and I went home at noon to watch the inauguration of Mr. Eisenhower and Mr. Nixon. It was
They didn't
most
have
exciting.
The lunch programs.
Oh, no, we went home every day. We went home every day for lunch.
I remember going home for lunch, too. I don't want to say that.
Oh, okay.
But I was getting back to Tim. I asked him why he had a negative campaign, and he said you have to more or less keep up with the rest of them. If you don't, you just get buried on it. So those weren't his exact words. Don't quote me on his exact words. But it was one of the things I went to him with. Why do you have to negative campaign? He said nobody really wants to do it. It just has to be done.
Mitt Romney proved that in the primary. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Mitt Romney won
right.
every primary by disqualifying all the other candidates. He never once came out and said, I'm better than him. He just came out and told you why they were so bad you couldn't vote for him, and he won.
And I'm afraid if you don't like that kind of politics, don't watch the next 6 months. It's going to be unbelievable. We need to take a quick break here, folks, and we can go back and hopefully get some numbers in. I'd sure like to see where some of these people are standing in this election. This is an election night, and we've been talking about everything except numbers. And so maybe we can get some in here before we get off the air. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, we will continue on and finish up our night again, hopefully with some numbers of these elections. You're watching the 2012 primary election here on the stream, Titusville, PA, live.com. You're listening to it on WMVL, Cool 101.7. Stay with us. We'll be back.
For over 110 years, Farmers National Bank has been committed to the communities we serve. And being a part of the Titusville community, that commitment has grown stronger. We at Farmers strive to be and do more for our customers and our communities by offering competitive products and local decision-making capabilities. We invite you to visit our Titusville office and speak with Branch Manager John Danzer and Regional Manager Lance Titus regarding all of your banking needs. Come home to Farmers National Bank. There are a lot of misconceptions about counseling. The professionals at Rural Mental Health Associates want to set the record straight. Depression is a real illness and carries with it a high cost in terms of relationship problems, family suffering, and diminished work and school performance. Like adults, children experience stress in their lives. Often they act out what's bothering them. Counseling can teach coping skills. For more information, contact Rural Mental Health Associates today. Donovan and Bauer Auto Group is your home for Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Our lot is filled with new and pre-owned vehicles, and if it's not on the lot, Ronnie the Ram will make sure the staff can find it. At Donovan and Bauer Chrysler, you can expect to find service after the sale with maintenance from their service department and their on-location collision center. Visit us online at www.donovanbauerautogroup.com to find your next Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram, or other pre-owned vehicle. Donovan and Bauer Auto Group on the Hightown Road, Titusville.
Hey, honey. Can you go get Daddy? Can I talk to Daddy? Honey, go get Daddy, please. Come on, go get Daddy. Honey, I need to talk to you.
Need a phone? Still under contract? No problem. GR Cellular offers replacement phones for people stuck in contracts. Choose from hundreds of phones, cases, and accessories. Visit GR Cellular on Route 257 in Seneca or on Main Street in Clarion. H&R Block of Titusville has been serving the Titusville and surrounding communities for over 30 years. Our tax professionals receive hours of training and continuing education credits on tax laws annually. With over 97 years of combined tax experience, our tax professionals prepare individual, small business, farms, rentals, and investment returns. H&R Block also offers payroll services for small businesses. H&R Block, located at 109 Diamond Street with plenty of parking and handicap accessibility. Contact your hometown tax pros today at 814-827-1371. Morrison Builder Supply in Titusville carries just about everything you need for your next home fix-it project or for contractors working on any size project. Whether it's electrical, lumber, plumbing, or paint, Morrison's has supplies to allow you to complete your project and get the job done. Attention outdoorsmen, Morrison's 2 has the best selection of guns, ammo, clothing, and other accessories in stock, and take advantage of great deals on muck boots. Morrison's and Morrison's 2 on West Central Avenue, Titusville.
And welcome back to our election coverage here at the Stream and 101.7. We have Mark Hine on the phone, and we'll see if we can get this call through tonight. Mark, you there? Hello, Mark.
Hello? Yes.
We'll see if we can get this. Yeah, I have trouble remembering that delay.
Yes, this is Mark. Hello? Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark. You have some numbers?
I have trouble remembering that delay. This is Mark. Hello? Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark. You have some numbers?
Yes, actually I do. We have about 7 or 8 precincts reporting in, and the good news seems to be that the voter turnout is a little higher here in Venango County than we thought. Many of the precincts are showing between 30 and one precinct as high as 50%. Now, I don't know how that'll average out. I'll know later. But for instance, we're seeing numbers from Sugar Creek Borough indicating that Mitt Romney is ahead there. That Owen Myers is with about 45% of the vote in the General Assembly election in Sugar Creek. We're seeing results from Rouseville indicating similar results with Mitt Romney at 22% of the vote, and in this case, Lee James at 27% of the vote. This is in Rouseville Borough. In Oil City's 3rd district, we're seeing numbers that indicate, again, Romney ahead at 36% over by far and away. Romney seems to be leading the pack here. In this particular race in Oil City 3, we're seeing Lee James with 77% of the vote. In Cranberry Township, we're seeing numbers that indicate, again, Romney ahead. He's showing about 60% in the race for representative on the Republican side there. Lee James with about 64%. Yes. And we have other results here from French Creek, Polk, and there are others coming in. Probably the best thing to do would be to hold off on further numbers until we see a summary sheet here, which I expect here just about any time.
Pardon me? I'm getting some messages here, Mark. Are you going to be able to get any more before we go off the air?
You're listening to here.
Yes, they are coming in rather steadily. The The numbers that seem to be the easiest to get back to studio, however, seem to be the summary reports. We're still waiting on one of them, but we do have numbers coming in, and they do indicate that Romney is leading here in Venango County by a substantial margin.
Okay, well, we'll touch base with you again before we go off the air, probably in, maybe 10, 15 minutes. That okay with you?
Okay, well, yes, and as soon as I get any other indication, I'll certainly let you know.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks much, Mark. Good report. That's quite a voter turnout, 30 to 50%, depending on the precinct. So on that kind of shoots our 20%. Pretty good, doesn't it? That's just that's excellent. Yeah.
That's because of that race for the rep.
Yeah.
The locals turned out more, for sure.
Yeah. Well, anytime I think, as Keith was talking about, anytime you have a local thing going on, so it's good. I want to remind you the numbers are brought to you, the tote board's brought to you by your Crawford County State Farm agents, and we thank them for being part of our broadcast tonight and sponsoring the election coverage for us here on the stream. Where were we at? We were talking... I forgot where we were at.
You asked me about the other candidate for senator, which I said I don't really know much about him, and I don't think he has much chance of winning.
I just found it interesting when I read his information that as a Democrat, he sounded a very conservative Democrat, if there is such a thing.
There's a lot of conservative Democrats. Please. Bob Casey's a very conservative Democrat.
Yes, he was. I just thought that might cause a little bit of a fuss. I didn't know. Joe. Hello, Joe. You there? Joe? And we're still trying to get...
Almost had Joe.
Almost got Joe.
We're here. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
We're live and local here downtown Meadville, once again here, Crawford County Republican headquarters. And Tom and I have been working on some numbers for you here. So we've been trying to listen to you a little bit, and we've been away from the speakers a little bit. So we've got some updated numbers. I want to thank Tug Roy for helping us out in there. Tug, of course, that's his real name. His mom gave him that. No, we're just kidding. But nonetheless, Tom Lavery's with me here. Tom, what do you have for us so far?
Well, so far we have Mitt Romney winning, of course, Pennsylvania. He has 1,811 votes there. Then Rick Santorum second, even though he did drop out of the race. He has 917 votes. Newt Gingrich with 380 and Ron Paul with 569. In the U.S. Senate on the Republican side, we have Tom Smith with 2164. And in the U.S. House of Representatives race on the Republican side, Mike Kelly, of course, leading there with 3296. So that's what we have so far, as we have some of the precincts reporting in for Crawford County.
All right, we got some here. We've got some not. Did you get the update on how many precincts they had reporting yet, Tom? I don't know if you got that number yet.
I believe there's about 25 out of 67.
All right, so we're still working on that here. We're waiting on some more of the numbers, and we'll keep you guys informed. We'll come back and join you in a little bit. Looks like 25 precincts so far. We'll come back and join you guys in a little bit with some more numbers here with the stream and Cool 101.7.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you much.
No problem. Talk to you in a few.
Does it surprise you at all that with his numbers, I didn't get the exact number, but 200 and some vote difference with Santorum dropping out?
I noticed when I was trying to add them up in my head, but Mitt Romney didn't hit 50%. It sounded like if he did, it was just barely.
Just barely.
I said, this is with nobody running against him.
Yeah, I find that...
that doesn't look real good for the fall election. I mean,
For who, me or you?
for poor Mitt Romney. I mean, he's put a lot into this, and he can't hit 50% when everybody else dropped out.
Oh.
Well, I wouldn't read. I would not read a whole lot into it in that it is Santorum State. I guess what I would read into it, had Santorum not dropped out, what would that have done to Mr. Romney's vote with all that he did put into it, Pat, as you mentioned? So. I guess I see that as a very positive sign for how the people see Rick Santorum.
Yes.
On the Republican side. So, just be my more quick assessment of that.
I think Rick Santorum could get 50% of the Republican vote in Pennsylvania, but I don't think he could get 10% of the Democratic vote in Pennsylvania. So, winning Pennsylvania wouldn't do him much good come fall.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he'll get 100. I don't think he'd get 100% of the Republican vote. And I said, you've got to win 10 to 15% of the Democratic vote in Pennsylvania to win the state. And I just don't think Rick Santorum had that kind of. I think Mitt Romney has a lot better chance statewide than against the Democrat than Rick Santorum had.
Even if Santorum would have got 50% in Pennsylvania, he would have probably lost all the other northeastern states. And so the problem is the money in the organization, could it keep up? And Mitt Romney was just slamming him with negative ads. And I know when they first started taking polling several weeks ago after the last primaries, Santorum, I think, was actually up in the polls compared to Romney. But that turned around pretty quickly. So I just don't think he had the momentum to just keep that push, especially in Pennsylvania. And the rest of the states he would have just lost. Now in a few weeks there'll be some more southern and midwestern states which Santorum would have done well in, but he just didn't have it to hold it together that long, unfortunately.
It's back to that negative campaign that disqualify him.
Yeah.
And
that shows you Santorum was a good, personable campaigner. That's why he took Iowa. That's why he took a lot of the states he did. He was out there shaking hands, and that's what really got him the attention of not just the public but also the media as well. But in the end, it was Mitt Romney and his machine that's been really prepared for 8 years to win this election.
Am I the only one that saw it that way, though, that sort of, if you look back election after election, Reagan lost in 76, but it was his turn in 80. You kind of move up in progression. You come, you run, you lose. The next election, it's your turn. And I just kind of thought it was Romney's turn. He ran pretty good 4 years ago, and he didn't win, and now we're going to give him his chance. And I think that's sort of what.
Well, I think what Fred alluded to, though, it has a lot to do with it. You run 4 years ago, and you learn a great deal. And now you put together a whole different kind of a machine. I don't like that word, but committee, whatever term, and you put together the backing that you need, and you understand a little bit better the charisma necessary to stand up on the stage in front of people and break down some of the so-called lifestyles, if that would be right, image, whatever, and create a different image than you had 4 years ago. So I think you learn a lot. You've been there, Pat. You know that.
I was just going to say, even running the little bit that I ran last spring. I mean, the first time I got up to speak, and unfortunately, I'm a speech and debate coach at the high school. I teach people to speak in public. But the first time I got up to speak, I had a hard time. It was by the time I'd been doing it for a few months and been in, I think, 65 or 70 panels. I can't tell you how many we had. It seemed like forever. We had one every day for a while, and sort of little debates. But by the end of it, I knew what I wanted to say, and it was a lot easier. And I think you get that with the presidential. That 4 years, running 4 years ago, maybe 4 years from now, Rick Santorum will be ready to get out there and talk and, stay on message, what Emily was talking about.
I think that's, one of the reasons why he dropped out early, so he could do that.
We have our Crawford County State Farm Agents tub board up for the Titusville area. 554 total votes in Titusville. Mitt Romney 208, Ron Paul 58, Santorum 81, and Gingrich 38. Kind of, I guess, the same way it was going down in the Franklin area, percentage-wise, from what, Meadville, I guess it was, that Joe was reporting to us. So
1/3 undervote. 1/3 of the people that went to the polls did not vote for president.
Yeah.
1/3. It's 385.
You have great maths.
Oh, I do math in my head. I like math.
Yeah, that was quick.
It's like 380
I was still adding up the column, and you had it all figured out.
There's 180 people 170 some people that did
not vote for president. Yeah.
I think a lot of them because they didn't think that they could vote for, Go ahead.
Well, I think it's probably because it's a done deal. There's a lot of influences in it and so on. Anyway, that's the numbers for Titusville. 500. Is that the total? I think, Luke. That's it.
Is that final?
That is our final. So 554 total votes. How many voters? How many registered voters do we have?
Republicans in Titusville.
Republicans, I wonder. Do you know Mitra by any chance?
Not right off.
Okay.
And I had it in my notes, and I can.
Yeah. Well, that tells us what Titusville thinks anyway for the presidency, and we'll see how that carries through.
I know when I went to vote at 4 o'clock, I was number 52
Wow.
in my district.
Where do you vote?
UPT.
Okay. Yeah, I think Sal and I were like 8 or 9 at 8 o'clock this morning down over at Oak Creek Township.
I remember last year at this time, I was 87 or something. So somebody's on the phone.
Yeah, it's Mark. Mark, you there?
Here at this time, I was 87
Mark, you there?
Yes, I am. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sounds like everything is working correctly at this point. Yes, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. We do have a summary sheet at this point, and I'll give you some of the results here with 16 precincts in Venango County reporting, and that's 16 of 48. The voter turnout on the Republican side of the primary is at 31%, which is remarkable considering the numbers we've seen so far. The Democratic turnout is at 17%. At 17, or with 16 of the precincts reporting in of the 48, here are the numbers for president. Mitt Romney at 557 votes is polling 48%, and then that is quickly followed by Rick Santorum at 25%. That's 297 votes. Ron Paul polled 176 votes for 15%. Newt Gingrich polled 131 votes for 11%. And for senator, U.S. senator, the numbers look like this. David Allen Christian polled 74 votes, and this is with 16 of the precincts of the 48 reporting in at Venango. Christian shows 7% of the vote. Mark Scaringi, 33 votes and about 3% of the vote. Steve Welch, 128 votes with about 12%. Tom Smith, 629 votes with about 57%. Sam Rohr with 245, showing 22%. And then the other race of interest in Venango County would be the Republicans vying for the 64th representative seat, 64th district representative seat. Lee James is leading there with 50% of the vote at 570 votes, closely followed, almost 448 votes at 39%, and Randall Smith with 12% at 139 votes. So that's what we have up to the moment.
Is there anybody down there with any major surprises? Anybody surprised how this has come out to this evening that you've talked with, Mark? Down there with any major surprises? Anybody surprised how this has come out to this evening that you've talked with, Mark?
We should say something to him and have an ad while he waits.
Hey, I think we lost him. Okay, Mark, well, we appreciate it. We can get back at you here before we finish up. So I don't know exactly how the race down in Venango County was predicted to go. I was just trying to find out from Mark if there's any particular surprises in that primary. But do you know anything about that, Mitri? You're a Venango County person.
I missed the totals because Pat was distracting me. Actually, Luke said your mic's on show. What did he say the numbers were for the U.S. Senator race? After he went with Welch, what was the other one?
Smith won.
Tom.
He was over. He was almost 60.
60%.
Yeah, he came down to the Venango office back in January and did a meet and greet down there.
Now, is this his first? Is this his first time around?
Yeah.
He spent a lot of money on advertising too. I mean,
he did. He is
he owned a mining company.
Yeah, he's a coal miner.
He didn't have to raise any funds. Yeah. He didn't have to do fundraisers on Sundays or anything. Yeah. Nice way of putting it.
I was surprised. Again, Mitt Romney, 48%. You got 40% in Titusville. You got 40% of the people who went in there voted for him for president.
What was the... Oops, go ahead.
I would think he would be pulling 60, 70, you know. I'm just surprised that the not Mitt vote is that high. You know? Anybody but Mitt, even if they're not really running, I'm going to vote for him.
It's a hesitancy about if he's conservative enough, and I think that was in that U.S. Senate race, too. Tom Smith and Welch both trying to brag about who is the real conservative. And
what was Sam Rohr's count there? Did you catch that one? I didn't catch that. I was
being disturbed.
In Titusville.
He was leading in Titusville?
Yeah.
53. Welch, 31.
Yeah. What did Smith have in Titusville, Luke? Do you have that one? I didn't catch it. Okay.
Did you catch what they said for Lee James? What was that? Those totals?
I did not catch his
for the
vote
rep.
total.
Did he give a rep race number? I
didn't hear it.
Shame.
I think that one has to be careful to read too much in. Pat, you're talking about Mitt Romney's vote. One has to be a little bit careful reading too much into it. Number one, I think what you'll see happening, conservatives who are hesitant, and I think there are a bunch of us that are. I am with Mitt Romney. He's not my first choice. He is going to be the nominee. You're going to get a backlash of backlash, probably wrong term. You're going to get conservative Republicans who aren't real happy with Mitt Romney who are going to vote against Obama. It's not really so much I'm excited about this candidate, be it Republican or Democrat, but in this case Republican, as much as I do not want 4 more years of Mr. Obama. Therefore, I will accept, as opposed to being tremendously excited about whomever.
That's a good idea, except the problem is, how many of those people are going to sit home on Tuesday and say, I'm going down there at 4 o'clock, I'll go at 5, I'll go at 6, I don't really care, I don't like Obama, and I don't like Mitt Romney, and I just don't vote. And I think that's the fear.
I think
that's the fear, is that they don't vote.
And I think one of the things you all ought to be careful about in that side of the party, of the aisle, is that there is, I think, a movement of high dislike for what has happened under the last 4 years. And I think that's going to motivate those kind of people you're talking about. They really don't like what has happened under Mr. Obama, and therefore that will motivate them to get out of the couch and go vote. I don't know. We have to wait until November to see.
I mean, that's what you'll find out in November.
Absolutely. That's why we have the
then
election.
You might have those same people going down to vote for Obama at 5 o'clock,
Because
7 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, that's the problem. But, I mean, I think that's the problem with any candidate that thinks they're going to get elected because there's going to be an anti-vote for
That's not the way to run the election. That's not the way to get in.
It's hard to get them motivated. You know, you have to get them off the couch.
Yep.
And
Look, we need to take another time out. We're running past this, so we'll take another. That's okay. We'll take another quick break. I want to remind you that tonight's primary coverage is brought to you in part by your Crawford County State Farm agents. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Venango Area Chamber of Commerce. You can visit them online at venangocountychamber.org. Strawbridge Pools and Spas. Make a splash with Strawbridge Pools. Fine Print, serving the printing needs of Crawford County, the Titusville Area Hospital, high-tech and top physicians. GR Cellular, now serving the Titusville community, and Moxie Media, marketing strategies and media placement. We thank all those fine folks for being part of our broadcast here this evening. We'll take another time out. We'll come back and wrap things up here on election night. Your coverage being brought to you here on the stream at TitusvillePALive.com and at Cool 101.7. Stay with us. We'll close out here in just a few moments.
Why sit and listen to others have all the fun when you could own your own above-ground or in-ground pool? Stop in to Strawbridge Pools and Spas today. Ask about their above-ground pool starting at $35.22, and that includes installation and the water. Strawbridge Pools carries Hayward filter systems and Hayward parts. Make a splash this summer with Strawbridge Pools on St. John Street in Titusville.
Watch Primetime on your time with Armstrong On Demand. See top-rated NBC, ABC, and Fox programs, including your favorite reality competition series. And ABC Family and the Disney Channel have great shows for kids of all ages. Armstrong On Demand has more choices than ever. Thousands of titles, most of them free with your Television Plus subscription. It's television on your schedule, so watch it now with Armstrong On Demand. Armstrong, one wire, infinite possibilities.
I love Titusville Area Hospital because it's a small hospital.
The last 2 quarterly reports, Titusville has been in the top 5 community hospitals and patient satisfaction in the state of Pennsylvania.
I think patients are given the opportunity to be cared for right at home rather than having to travel. Everything's contained right here.
Being part of the community and knowing the community makes me do a much better job. We already have a personal aspect with them. I think this little hospital is a perfect thing for this little city.
Venango Area Chamber of Commerce is committed to working with our members and the business community to leverage business advocacy initiatives that are critical to the success of the Venango County area. For us, it's clear. We build, serve, and promote businesses. Visit us at venangochamber.org.
Looking for entertainment for your big event? DJ Todd Entertainment is the affordable and reliable answer. Whether it's a wedding reception, school dance, anniversary, graduation, or birthday party, corporate function, bar, or private club, we can handle it. Our staff brings both experience and professionalism to your event. We've got every style of music and MCs that have fun. Visit us online at djtodd.net. That's djtodd.net. DJ Todd Entertainment, your entertainment solution.
It's the all-new Allegheny Toyota Scion Spring Sales Event with over 200 new Toyota cars and trucks available. For a limited time only, Toyota brought back 0% financing for 60 months on RAV4, Toyota's best-selling SUV, the Venza, Toyota's crossover utility vehicle, Tundra Double Cab, and Tundra Crew Max, Toyota's workhorses. Get 0.9% financing on the Sienna van or Highlander. Lease an all-new 2012 Camry for $219 a month. Lease a Corolla for $169 a month. The grand opening continues at Allegheny Toyota with a Spring Sales Event.
Was that good, Pat? Fred, I told you to get in the middle there. You got Mitra and Pat sitting together, and I'm telling you, the right side and the left side, and they just can't get it together. I'm absolutely embarrassed.
Oh, stop it.
We have Joe Vilke online, I believe, and from 101.7. So, Joe, you there?
Yes, we are. Good evening, guys. I know we're getting ready to wrap things up here in a little bit, but Tom Lavery and I are here on the busy downtown streets of Meadville right now. Okay, let's just say you can roll a bowling ball down through here. But anyhow, we've been outside of the Crawford County Republican headquarters here as they have the live ticker on the inside of the building there. And, of course, Tom has been checking on the numbers. And, Tom, what do you have for us to say at this point? I know it's hard to see in there right now.
Oh, no, that's fine. I can see. But there's have been no movement since we last reported. There's still 25 of 67 precincts reporting. So those numbers have stayed the same since I last reported to you. And, of course, we will have updated numbers tomorrow morning on the Super Dave Ham Morning Show on Cool 101.7 beginning at 5 a.m. So check that out tomorrow morning with our partners at the Meadville Tribune.
And, of course, our friends at the stream. I know you guys will be up dark and early in the morning getting all the numbers together as well, so we'll have all that for you. But it's been an informative evening listening to you folks from your studios at the stream over there. I want to thank Luke Rio and the whole panel over there for keeping our airwaves alive tonight here at Cool 101.7 Radio as well. I want to thank our sponsors. I know you guys have thanked them, and we want to thank them from the Cool 101.7 side as well. Those numbers are kind of where they're at right now, and I know we're getting ready to wrap up. But, guys, it's been a pleasure working with you tonight.
Well, we want to thank you. We've enjoyed it very much ourselves, and I just want to hear that bowling ball going down through the streets there. That was the best comment of the evening.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Very interesting to see the bowling ball going down through Chestnut Street. We have had that happen with steel balls going down through Allegheny College and went into the back of a Ford Taurus a few years ago. But that's a little different. This would be maybe more entertaining. I'm not sure what would be funnier. But anyhow, been great working with you guys. We look forward to possibly doing this in November. I'm sure we'll be covering the election just as well, and proud to be the 2 local stations that are actually doing something in the community. So it's been great working with you guys. I know you guys got some things to wrap up. We'll talk to you later. Thank you very much for having us as part of the broadcast as well, too.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Tom. We'll talk with you again.
All right. Thank you.
That's Tom and Joe. Are you going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Not
These
me.
guys, I forgot to ask if are they going to get up, or do they have someone else in the studio? 5 o'clock in the morning. Tom will be up at 5 in the morning. Oh, you're a good man, Tom. I don't care what Joe says about you. Gracious Neds. Joe Vilke and Tom Lavery of 101.7. Well, final thoughts before we go back. We want to try to get Mark back on again on our delayed broadcast with Mark. And Fred, your thoughts?
It'll be interesting to see how it works out. Mitt Romney is more of a moderate Republican, and it will be interesting to see if he's able to get enough of the Republican turnout. And I think it will be a long, interesting summer. It'll be a close election, especially if the economy keeps the way it has. I'm surprised Obama is still at like a 46, 47 approval rating despite an 8.2% unemployment rate. So he's still remaining competitive. So I think it will remain close, and it will be a very interesting summer.
Mitra? I thank you for your webpage, by the way. I've enjoyed that immensely.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll keep up with that. If I just say if you have a candidate you want to support, get behind them and work. Don't tell them you love them, show them, and get out there and work for them, and that's more important. So it's going to be a great summer with all the parades and all the political stuff going on.
And we got Pat and Tim to get to, but first I think we're going to switch down. You guys hold your thoughts for a second. We're going to switch down to Venango County. We have Mark back on the phone. So Mark, go ahead.
I'll find out what those numbers are.
Hi, yes. Having difficulty hearing there for a moment. As far as the numbers go, the summary report that was sent a little bit earlier is still about the same. We are continuing to get numbers in that indicate that Romney is very far ahead here in Venango County, and that the numbers for voter turnout are significantly higher than in most other areas. In many cases, the couple of precincts as high as 50%, and at any rate, it seems to be significantly higher here in Venango County. It'll be some time before all of the votes are counted, and at that point, of course, it'll be well past the time that we sign off.
Mark, before we get rid of the interviews here, finish them up. State representatives in Venango County, can you run those numbers by us again, please?
Yeah, because it's not going to show them.
I'm having some difficulty hearing everything.
Okay, there's a room back in here. Can you pull that here?
Okay, well, we were just wanting to know about the state reps. We'll have to wait until tomorrow and get those numbers to clarify. Mark, appreciate your work. Thank you much for helping us out down there in Venango County. Let's go back and wrap up here. Pat, we're coming to you there. Your closing thoughts on this election and the one coming up, maybe.
Well, I think I'm disappointed with the turnout. I'm just offended that people don't vote, and I mean, I don't think Crawford County is going to be anywhere close to what Venango County was, and Venango County certainly isn't that good. That's just better than usual. This fall's election is going to be interesting because we have to realize, this is really a 48-48 country. 48% of the people are going to vote for the Democratic candidate, no matter who he is, and 48% are going to vote for the Republican candidate, no matter who he is. And there's that 4% in there that decide the elections. So, if you win 52-48, it's a landslide nowadays. It really is.
Yeah, it is.
And so I think we're going to see a lot of action this summer. A lot of money, a lot of advertising. It's going to be a lot of negative advertising because it works. It works. We don't like it. You never hear anybody say, I love those negative ads. But people run negative ads and win elections. So it's going to be an interesting summer.
We want to thank all our panelists for being with us tonight. And, Jim, our sponsors for this evening?
Well, we have several, and we do want to thank them. And, again, I want to say thanks to our panel members and, of course, to Tom and Joe over at Cool 101 and Mark down at Venango. It's always good to have those folks with us and get it. Sponsors tonight, our election coverage is brought to you by your Crawford County State Farm agents. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I always like that motto. Somehow that just always seems to fit nicely. The Venango Area Chamber of Commerce. You can visit the Venango Area Chamber of Commerce on venangocountychamber.org. Strawbridge Pools and Spas. Make a splash with Strawbridge Pools. Fine Print, serving the printing needs of Crawford County. The Titusville Area Hospital with high-tech and top doctors in our community. We appreciate all the work they find people do up in the Titusville Area Hospital. GR Cellular, now serving the Titusville community. Just moved in, and we welcome them to the community. If you have some cellular needs, go down and see GR Cellular. And Moxie Media, marketing strategies. Emily Gill was here this evening, and she does a very great job with strategies and media placement. We also want to thank our food sponsors that caused us to be late for some of the microphone returns. Fox Pizza, Mortar's Bakery, the Lunchbox Deli, Titusville Beverage, and a big thank you to Armstrong Cable, who supplied us with an extra camera, which really comes in handy when we do a production of this type. So all those fine people made it possible for us to be here this evening. And we hope that what we've brought to you this evening has been of some help to you for your election coverage and been interesting to you. We look forward to the opportunity maybe coming back in November and the big election. And maybe we can cover those numbers with you as well nationwide. On behalf of Luke Rio, our producer, and Mike Holochek, our cameraman, and all our panel, Mr. Tim, appreciate it, sir. I'm Jim Bodum. We thank you very much for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you again here on the stream at TitusvillePALive.com. Have a good evening. We'll talk to you in the morning on the Morning Drill.
Streaming live from the birthplace of the oil industry, Titusville, Pennsylvania.